There you go. Hi, everybody. Welcome in to the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. High noon. Hi, Rainey. Hi, Barney. I saw Peter was creeping around in the chat room before we went live. I don't know where he is now. Is the chat room merged? It is. All right. We got people. Al's here. Al says, hello, amigo. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I did. I had a fun weekend. Oh, man, I'm telling you. So you guys know how James and so we do this show every Monday through Friday. This is the High Noon Show. This is me. What do I do here? It's hot topics, current events. It's all the things that you need to know about today. The stuff people are buzzing about, the stuff news people are screaming about, headlines, all that stuff. That's what I give you here. Nice little nutshell show. We run it down. Don't spend too much time on any one issue. We try not to get in the weeds on nonsense, but the weeds are a preferred destination of this show for all kinds of reasons. One, it's a stream of consciousness. This is just me talking. I'm just blah, 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 just one thought after another, unfiltered, ungoverned, just out there for you to, chop up. We do that with all the things that are happening. Again, the goal of the show is for you to just, at the end of it, to just kind of go, you know what? I feel like I know what's going on. That guy was a lunatic. He wouldn't shut up for 2 hours, but my God, he talked about everything. And that's what we do here. Talk radio the way I think talk radio should sound, without all the bullshit political divisiveness. And, he's red. He can't possibly have anything to say. She's blue. You know what that means? We got to build a camp for her, lock her up. No, none of that nonsense here. We don't do it. We just, it's like back before. Remember before we were all ginned up? Remember when you were a kid? You used to listen to people I used to listen to people on the radio and watch people on TV. I had no idea how they voted. I want to get back to that. I don't care. So that's what this show is an attempt at. Now, I mentioned that because this show is very different than the second show that we do here on the RadioMisfits.com stream. Radio Misfits for all your podcast live streaming needs. Not all your live streaming needs, just me. I think I'm the only one who's doing live streaming on RadioMisfits.com. Makes me feel special. Also a little lonely, but the Radio Misfits show is the second live stream that we do. That comes on at 9 p.m. We will be doing a Radio Misfits show this evening. Myself and James Parker. That's more conversational. That's two dudes chopping it up. That's classic two wacky shock jocks doing radio. That's what that format is. That's a little bit different. But if you listen to the Radio Misfits show, you know that James and I, a couple months back, we went and we became comedians. Yeah, that's right. We became comedians. It's too loud. We became comedians because that's all you have to do. You just take a course and then you become a comedian after that. It's like, you want to be no, I'm kidding. I'm Dean Lewis, the dean of comedy here in Texas. He has these classes and he's an old friend of ours. And so we wanted to go sit in and we took the classes and oh my God, we had such a great time. Dean Lewis comedy classes at the Improv. You should absolutely check it. Look, even if you don't want to be a comedian, it's just a fun experience. It's just it was real. I was dragged to it by James. James is like, hey, you go. Here's how I found out. Like, I don't know, some point in July, James said, hey, you want to do comedy classes with Dean Lewis? And I said, yeah, that sounds like that could be fun. Like that was in July. And then one Monday at 4:30 p.m. in August, I get a call from James and he goes, what time are you getting there? And I go, what? Getting where? What do you mean? And he goes, Dean's comedy class. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, it's tonight. And now James lives in Tyler. So he was driving all the way to Dallas from Tyler. And I'm like, you mentioned this once. I didn't know this was a thing. I thought we were just drunkenly making conversation. Didn't work out. So I ended up going. I was pressured into going. And look, this is the thing with me. And maybe you're like me as well. I don't want to do anything. You ask me to do something and I'll be like, oh, thanks. And then I'll quickly make up I don't want to do anything. It's my problem. Weird. Until I actually do it. And then when I actually do it, I love it. And as we all know, I loved my Dean Lewis comedy experience. I looked forward to it every week. It was so much fun. My God, I discovered just recently that having an actual life can be fulfilling. So I've been writing a lot of comedy. I go out sometime. You might catch me on an open mic night. Maybe Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday. Maybe I'll say where, but maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm still, I'm not comfortable yet. I'm just trying to get comfortable. I don't want to be around a bunch of people going, I remember when you started, you sucked. I would rather suck in front of people who, I don't already have relationships with. So everything is a comedy writing experience. So this weekend, I don't know what you guys did this weekend. Hi, Jen. Jen's here. Frank's here. I got to talk about Frank. Pete's back. I got to talk about Pete too. Jeff's here. Everybody. So this weekend, okay. So the point is this: everything is a comedy writing possibility now for me. Like everything I have to look at and go, okay, I'm doing this. This is fun. What would be funny if this happened now? That kind of thing. I went to something last night. Oh my God. Yesterday afternoon. I went to something yesterday afternoon, and I've got a new 40-minute Netflix special on what I did yesterday. It was so much fun. Oh my God. I just came home. I was like, God, that was so inspiring. What I just saw today. I got to write about that. And I wrote for like 3 hours last night. And about 15 minutes of it is good because that's what the writing process is. You just write and write and write, and then you edit and edit and edit and edit. And you just take that line's good. That line will go with this line. So that's how you do it. So you know what I did yesterday? Guys, and we'll get to the show. We're in no hurry today. There's no hard end on the stream. So you know what I did yesterday? A good friend of mine has a kid who is involved in the School of Rock. Do you guys know the School of Rock? I mean, there was a movie, right? But we all know, like the School of Rocks, we drive down the street, you see the cool ass sign, attached to a Kroger or something. They're always in like strip malls. Anyway, School of Rock does this. School of Rock is a school. It's a club. It's like a thing where if your kid wants to be a guitar player or a drummer or whatever, you go to the School of Rock and they put you in bands. They take all of these kids and they're like, okay, you're a drummer. You're going to play with this kid. And they put them in bands and it's just so lovely. I mean, I just don't know what else. I'm at a loss for words. It's a great thing. It's a really cool thing. And it's fun. And these kids enjoy themselves. So last night in Deep Ellum, and not last night, yesterday during the day, because it's probably not a nighttime in Deep Ellum thing. But yesterday during the day, they closed down a bunch of clubs and just opened them up to the School of Rocks. And the School of Rocks just put on this like music festival. Trees, was it? I don't know. Trees, 2 places across the street. I don't know. Trees was the one that I was at most, and it was really cool. But oh my God, there was so much material for me. I had such an incredible time. These kids are so inspiring. Some of them so terrible, but also so inspiring, man. There were kids. I saw children up on stage in front of like a packed crowd of admirers, parents, friends, right? This wasn't a rock crowd. There wasn't a critic from Spin, in the crowd. This was like the best possible audience that these kids could have. And some of these kids just, oh my God. I started taking a bunch of pictures of their faces because when they first came out and they see the crowd, every single kid, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, they look like trafficking victims. They all look completely horrified. And then once they start playing and, they get into it, it was just such a wonderful thing. So that's what I did yesterday. There was no football for me. There's no Cowboys, no Bears, no Bills. There was nothing for me to watch. So I went and I did this little tour of a bunch of bars and saw a bunch of kids. I'm going to talk about it more tonight on Radio Misfits because, and look, none of it's mean. It's like, you went to a School of Rock and you wrote comedy. Yeah, I wrote comedy. I wrote uplifting, fun, optimistic, aspirational, cool comedy, I think. I don't know. It was nice. And there was a lot to make fun of because some of these kids are terrible. Some of these kids should not be in bands. Some of them not so much. Oh my God. But there are some of these kids. I saw some incredible musicians. Incredible. There was this one band playing at Trees. This seemed to be like, I don't know, School of Rock varsity, maybe, because these seemed to be like high school, like later high school, like juniors and seniors. And there was this band doing basically all kinds of death metal in Trees. These kids, these high school kids. And their bands are all mixed too, which I love. Like there's a girl playing bass, this girl drumming, dudes on keys. It's just nice. It's a cool thing. Because again, the School of Rock puts these kids together based on, so There was this one band doing death metal. They had these 2 guitar players who were just kids. They were both amazing. And it was the reason that these 2 guitar players were put together. It was like twin leads. These kids were dueling. And at some point, these kids started to get into it. And it turned into like a South Side of Chicago blues club where there's like 2 old men with electric guitars just like wailing at each other. It was really cool. It was inspiring. I had such a good time yesterday. School of Rock, I can't endorse that thing enough. What a wonderful, I mean, look, obviously it's not cheap. It's Deep Ellum loved it because they got to open up their clubs on a Sunday and just fill it with suburban parents who have no idea what anything costs. So they can charge anything. Some guy tried to charge us $25 to park. And we're like, no, come on. No, we'll go a block down and we'll get a meter. And I was with a person who had money, and they were like, yeah, no, this is a scam. There's this, you take credit cards, whenever you say, yeah, you take a credit card, and they go, no, we don't take, we just take cash. Yeah, it's a scam. But it was a good time. All right, so let's do some other house cleaning here. Adam says, School of Rock did that recently in Denton. Saw my friend's kid, was fun. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And you know, it's a lot of fun because it is equal parts train wreck and inspiring. It is both. It is, you see kids who are up there in bands who maybe their dad just wants them in a band and they're not really into it. And you know they're not going to follow through. They'll be gone. But then you see other kids. You see other kids who are like, wow, okay, so this is their thing. So they don't play football. But man, that kid can drum. No, it was really cool. It was cool. I had a really good time. Support that. I was, you know, wholly unfamiliar with the whole School of Rock thing outside of the movie and outside of knowing that they were a real entity that kids could join. My kid was never interested. My kid, like, he tried trumpet. And not good, you know, not good. He knows. He's like, I didn't practice. I go, you didn't practice because you didn't enjoy it. And he's like, yep. And I go, okay, so we move on. So we find something else that you like to do. Although trumpet, why did he pick the trumpet? Like, couldn't he pick the guitar? Like, you know, he could spend the rest of his life just picking around. Or piano. That's the one that I want. I want to learn piano. Piano is the best instrument to learn, I think, if you're a kid. All right. What else do we need to talk about? All right, we need to do some house cleaning in terms of who's bringing us this show. That's right. This show runs on your tips and your gratuities. End of the month, we didn't make it this month. This was like the first month ever that we didn't make it. We're 75 short. Technically, we still have till the end of this show, but we didn't make it. The shows will go on through January because, as I said on Friday, I mean, whatever. But it is just kind of, I had considered it a badge of honor that we had always made it. We didn't make it this month. We came close, and it's Christmas, and I get it. And I allow for that. You know, in my mind, I'm like, man, what these people, they support you for 2.5 years. It's Christmas time. Give them a break. So, yeah, we fell 75 short today. That's okay. We'll leave it up. We still got till the end of the show to make it, but I've already made contingency plans. So we are good there. And to that end, the way we run this show is because we do accept tips. We make the person who tipped the most on the previous day, we tip them or they tip us, and then we make them the executive producer. So please welcome today's executive producer, Cam. Cam dropped one of his bombs on Friday. I think I saw it Friday after the show. Cam's a monthly guy. Cam drops a nice little, he fires a scud across our bow every month, and we do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cam. Cam is the executive producer of today's show, but that does not mean, hold on, I got to mention some other people who came up on Friday, who I really appreciated. Hold on. So let me get these folks. I want to talk about Frankie, my boy Frankie. Frankie and I go back probably as long as I've been here in Dallas. I remember Frank when Frank was a kid, a mere child. Frank is now an old man. Yeah, Frank, I called you an old man. Frank does something that I appreciate. Frank tips every day, just about every day, like $1 or $2. I love it. It's like, that is theoretically how I see this. I'm a bartender, you know. Now I get that that's hard. You can't be filling out your nonsense all the time and blah blah blah. But I also wanted to say thank you to Christina, who came in. through us. Thank you so much, Christina. Christina always comes through. She's another one. Christina's an executive producer, basically by default. She's always there. April also can't thank April enough. April always comes through. And Frank. And there's other people too. These are just the ones that I think I missed on Friday that I wanted to give a little love to. I'll make a compilation. I'll make sure that everybody gets thanks. So appreciate it. All right. So where are we now? What else do we got to do here? I guess that's it, right? We're just going to start the show. Why not start the show? Yeah, why not? Boom. All right. Let's get started. I'll leave that up if anybody is so inclined as they want to help out the show. Let's get started with everything that's happening on today. Let's talk about today, this day. We start out, we do the show in 4 quarters. First quarter, we do like a football game. First quarter, we do erstwhile on this day. That's a look back on the history. I cherry pick things that I can rant on for a few seconds and we move on. Then quarter 2, birthdays, people born on this day. Are they cool? That's it. We just look at people born on this day. We go, do we think they're cool or not? You know, that's it. That's quarter 2. Quarter 3, deaths. These are the people who died. That's right. We go through a list of people who died on this very day in history, and we open up the books on their life's resume and decide whether or not they've gone to heaven or hell. We decide. We put them there. It's us. That's right. A little power. Then the fourth quarter. Then we go to the fourth quarter, the home stretch, the meat and potatoes of the show, as I like to say. Fourth quarter is all about the hot topics, current events, trends, headlines, whatever it is that's shaping this very day. That's what we get into in the fourth quarter. So, without further ado, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant, a 2-hour plus stream of consciousness, authored by yours truly, Pugs Moran. It is the 4th day of December, the 12th month, year of our Lord, 2023. December 4th is the 338th day of the year. There are 27 more of these until the end of the year. Let's get started with quarter 1. We call it Erstwhile on this day. Erstwhile on this day, where I take a look back at all of the events, all of them. I look at everything. I'm magic. I look at everything that's ever happened on this day, and I cherry pick the ones that I think are interesting. On this day in 1861, erstwhile, the 109 electors of the several states of the Confederate States of America unanimously elect Jefferson Davis as president and Alexander Stephens as vice president. Okay, boys. Boys had a plan. They got together, and on this day, they decided to commit treason against the United States. America first, not in 1861. How'd that work out for you, boys? Well, here's how it worked out for them, because on this very day in 1865, North Carolina ratifies the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, followed soon by Georgia, and U.S. slaves were legally free within 2 weeks. All right, that's good. That happened on this day. So 1861, they're like, yeah, we're gonna, what do they call it? Secede? We're gonna secede and go to war with you guys. That was 1861. And then 4 years later, North Carolina's like, fine, black guys can be free. You know, that was it. So it didn't work out for them. That's too bad. I said with tongue firmly in cheek, erstwhile on this day in 1909 in Canadian football. You guys ready for this? 1909, the first Grey Cup. The first Super Bowl of Canadian football was held on this day in 1909. We wouldn't even have an NFL in this country until 2021, or not 2021, 1921. I mean, 1920, the American Football League, then the APL. There were all these different variations, but the actual name, I think it was 1921. I think it was 1921 because the Bears claimed 1920, and then I think the league became an official league 1 year later or something like that. Anyway, okay, so that's it. Canada, that's right. We look down our noses at Canadian football. We shouldn't. They were there first. And Canada invented basketball. Americans don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like that Canada was invented, or Canada invented basketball. James Naismith was a Canadian. On this day in 1956, erstwhile, the $1 Million Quartet. Oh, isn't that a cute name in 1956? The $1 Million Quartet. Because in 2023, this would be the multi-billion-dollar quartet. But in 1956, the $1 Million Quartet, as they were deemed, came together for the first and only time to record in the studios there in Memphis, Sam Phillips' Sun Studios. The $1 Million Quartet, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and Johnny Cash all came together. Boy, that's a traveling Wilbury-esque kind of collection, huh? On this day in 1969, the Black Panther Party members Fred Hampton and Mark Clark are shot and killed during a raid by 14 Chicago police officers. That's a cute way to put it. They were murdered. That is an absolute fact. It's an absolute fact that the Chicago Police Department executed Fred Hampton for political crimes. That is what happened there. I know we have a difficult time. Please. No, that is really what happened. That is really what happened. As everybody knows, look, people involved have died. And on their deathbed, they've gone, hey, I want to get something clear here. We were sent specifically to murder Fred Hampton. That's what that was. It was created. It was a situation that was created, and the outcome that was desired and strategically targeted was the death of Fred Hampton. So come on, stop it. It happened. Move on. We'll fix it. Make sure it doesn't happen again. But just to pretend it didn't happen means it could happen again, and that's a problem. Same with the Kennedy assassination. Oh, don't get me started on the Kennedy assassination. I told you guys about how just last weekend I fell down a Kennedy assassination hole because it was revealed to me that my 14-year-old, born and raised in Dallas, has no knowledge of the Kennedy assassination at all. So I figured, I'm like, well, damn, man, before QAnon gets a hold of you, let me get you, you need to know a cornerstone American conspiracy theory. So we got into that, and I watched that. Have you seen that thing yet? I think it's on, I don't know if it's on Paramount. I don't know what it's on, but it's the Parkland Doctors. It's brand new. Well, brand new like last week. You know what I mean? It came out recently. It came out in connection to the 60th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, which was just, I think, 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks Tuesday, 2 weeks tomorrow. It's so good. It is so good. It is the doctors. It is all the testimony of a lot of them are dead, but a lot of them have been interviewed over the years. It is the first-hand account testimony of the doctors who received Kennedy's body and what they saw. Now, we were told he was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald from the back. These doctors are all like, yeah, they brought him in. He was shot from the front. We determined immediately that the throat wound was not an exit wound, which would have made it the magic bullet. Remember that went through his head and came out his throat and then made a right turn and went through Governor Connolly's elbow. Remember that, the magic bullet thing? Okay. These doctors, and they're all like, yeah, we made our report, and then the Secret Service and FBI came and visited us and said, don't ever say that again. These are doctors. These are like one of the dudes was like one of the most prestigious surgeons in Texas for like 60 years, and he recently died. These aren't kooks. These aren't weirdos. These are a team of professionals who received the body of the recently shot president and then had to make their medical determination as to what happened. That medical determination flew in the face of what we, the American public, were told. It's on Paramount. It's called What the Parkland Doctors Saw. It's incredible. It's so well done. All right, there you have it. On this day in 1971, during a concert by Frank Zappa in the Mothers of Invention at Montreux, an audience member fired a flare gun into the ceiling, causing a fire that destroyed the venue. All right, so we're familiar with this, right? So Frank Zappa in Montreux, Switzerland. It was like the Blues Jazz Arts Festival. It's a big festival they used to have there on the lake. Is it Lake Geneva? I don't know, but it's right there on the lake. It was an incident. Frank Zappa, Mother's Invention, doing a concert. The place burns down. I mean, it wasn't like that terrible thing that happened in, was it Rhode Island with Great White? Was that Great White where the fire occurred? I don't think it was that bad. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how many people died, but it was a big deal. And the news story itself may not be all that memorable, but a song written about the event is one of the most iconic songs in the history of the rock and roll era. And that is, of course, Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. Smoke on the Water was written about the event that occurred on this day. Frank Zappa playing in Montreux. A member in the audience fires off a flare gun. Whole place burns down. Just to the ground. I shouldn't laugh because I don't know the death toll, and it might be bad, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Smoke on the Water. We all know smoke on the water, fire in the sky. And then the lyrics come in and we all go, we don't know the lyrics. At least I don't. I never really read the lyrics to Smoke on the Water. It is a point-by-point news account of the burning down during the Frank Zappa show. Here are the lyrics. I don't know if you've ever listened to the lyrics of Smoke on the Water. We all came out to Montreux. This fire occurred in Montreux, Switzerland on this day. We all came out to Montreux on the Lake Geneva shoreline. Smoke on the Water. We all came out to Montreux on the Lake Geneva shoreline to make records with a mobile. Yeah, we didn't have much time. So like there's a mobile recording studio out there. It was a big deal back then. So that's what they went there for. We all came out to Montreux on the Lake Geneva shoreline to make records with a mobile. Yeah, we didn't have much time. Frank Zappa and the Mothers were at the best place around, but some stupid with a flare gun burned the whole place down. Smoke on the water. Isn't that fun? Look at that. Now we know. Or maybe everybody knew. Maybe I just did that Trump thing. Trump does that thing where when he just learns something that everybody else knows, Trump will go, a lot of people don't know. And what he's saying is, what he means by when he says a lot of people don't know is that his ego won't allow him to go, I didn't know this. So he's got to include himself in a group of other idiots. That's what I just did. I don't know. Maybe people knew Smoke on the Water was about this. A lot of people don't know Deep Purple Smoke on the Water. That's a very telling ego play. I know, because I'm a raging narcissist who's been doing ego therapy for a while. All right, moving on. Let's go. I mean, I'm a self-aware narcissist who's desperately trying to. And one of the stages that I'm in my own self-fixing is being able to recognize these traits in other people. And also part of my self-fixing is not to be judgy about it. No reason to be judgy about it. Just move on. Hold on, guys. Hold on a second. There we go. That's it. That's what we need to do. Okay. Moving on. What else? Just give me a second here. Is it Google Drive? I always complain about Google Drive, how hard it is to navigate. Yeah, no, it absolutely sucks. All right. Smoke on the Water. That was 1971. Anything else? Anything erstwhile on this day? Not much. Oh, yeah, here's this one. Okay, another fire. It was a big fire day. On this day in 2017, the Thomas Fire starts near Santa Paula, California. It eventually became the largest wildfire in modern history. Modern American history to date, after burning 440 square miles in Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. I mentioned this one because there's fires all the time. And the ones that seem to stick with me are the ones that burn celebrities' homes to the ground. And this was Oprah's one, right? Is this the one where Oprah's Santa Barbara place got taken to the ground? That's unfortunate. All right, let's move into quarter two. Birthdays. Quantum. They say it's the birthday. Born on this day in 1912. I like to say we decide, are they cool or not? Born on this day in 1912. How about Peppy Boington, American Colonel, Pilot, Medal of Honor recipient, Black Sheep Squadron, Baba, Black Sheep, whatever it is you want to call it. Robert Conrad played him. 1970s TV show. I liked it. I was a kid. Was it about world? Why did I think it was about Korea? Maybe because I was a kid and MASH was about Korea. I know there's a lot going on when I was a kid. A lot of wars. It's like, is this a Vietnam thing or is this a Korean thing? Or is this a World War II thing like Grandpa? What is this? There's a lot going on. Anyway, Peppy Boington, born on this day. Is he cool? Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Born on this day in 1931. Wally George. Holy crap. Is he cool? No, this fucker ain't cool. This guy's a D-bag of the highest order. This guy was the worst. This guy, everything that's bad about the world today, Wally George was that in 1988. I'm not kidding you. Wally George was a television pundit. He had a local TV show in Orange County, California for years and years and years. He was he claims to have created the format of TV known as combat talk, which is, get off my show, you liberal son of a bitch. He was that guy, but in 1988, and it was shocking. This is the guy that any media watcher like myself, young wannabe broadcaster at the time, this is the guy who Morton Downey ripped off, who then in turn was ripped off by the Springers and the Geraldos and, all of that kind of thing. The idea that you could have a conversation with somebody and you didn't have to keep it civil and responsible. The idea that you could just concoct he was the first person to book actors and then present them as, well, this is a liberal from San Francisco who wants to, and then they would have fights, and it's just bad. It's just bad for the soul of the country, this fucking guy. He was the worst. He had a daughter. He was Rebecca De Mornay's dad. That's right. Rebecca De Mornay. Remember from Risky Business? I can't do it. My voice wasn't. If I had more water in my throat, I would have been able to make that cat purr better. Rebecca De Mornay, she hated him. The dude had like 15 kids. All his kids hated him. They all hated him. He had like 15 kids. You know why? Because he was married 7 times. Yeah, well, I don't know how to tell you. Anyway, just go to Google, pull up some Wally George. You'll see this guy. He was a real piece of work. He had no shame. He had no soul. And all he cared about was just destroying society. He was a bad, bad guy. And everything. And look, he was, and it's not just because he was super right-wing and super conservative. That's not about it. That it was that he wasn't that, in fact, which is the thing that his parents or his kids all say. He was a Hollywood liberal. He was a failed actor. He created this character, and then people legitimately thought that was him, and he bought into it, and his ego went nuts, and that's why none of his kids ever talked to him. Wally George, he's an asshole. Born on this day, 1931. Look him up on YouTube. You'll see what a freaking weirdo he was. In all of the manipulations, from the giant picture of John Wayne behind him to he basically popularized, the flag pins that all congressmen and Republicans wear. Because I'm a better American than you because I got a flag pin, because I'm exploiting what this means so that you think I'm a better American than you. That's what the flag, that all started with Wally George. Wally George wore an American flag tie every single day. And then he started wearing a flag pin. And then within 5 years, everybody who was on the right wing was wearing a flag pin to show that they're better Americans than the rest of us. And that's right. I judge you. If you have an icon on one of your social media pages and, your icon is just the flag or an eagle, you're trying too hard. This country, the grace, the elegance, the beauty, the amazing aspirational value that this country holds for all of us is not dependent on jingoism or propaganda. This country is what this country is because of all of us, and we all love this country. That's why we're here. I hate that. Where's you fly? You're flat. No. Look, talk to my 14-year-old son about the flag. He will never wear a piece of clothing with the flag on it because in our family, we consider that to be sacrilegious. You don't sweat on an image of the American flag. You don't wear it on a T-shirt on the 4th of July and chug beers. What the fuck is wrong with you? People died for that. Are we serious about what that symbol means? Because we seem to be really serious whenever somebody wants to take a knee. We seem to be really serious then, but not when it's some chick on a boat pulling her American flag top off and shaking her titties. That's not disrespectful. That's fine. That's American pride. Fuck you, stupid. That's dumb. I hate Wally George. I hate the whole thing where if you don't wear a flag pin, if you don't fly the flag, if you don't, hate Colin Kaepernick, somehow you're a bad American. No, you're just a conscientious thinking American. You think things through and you decide, you know what, that issue, that's his issue. That ain't my issue. I don't give a shit what he's doing. Oh man, the left-leaning moderate in me, I think, is just coming out. But it's just this guy. I had an incident this weekend that just got me a little bit ginned up. I won't talk about it because we don't do those kinds of things on this show, but I'm just so tired of divisive America. I heard someone was mad at me because of something I said on this show about, I don't even know what it's about. It's about something. And look, here's the thing about me in this stream of consciousness. This is why I always say, I don't worry about what I say. I don't worry about accidentally. You're going to say something accidentally, you're going to get you canceled. I've basically already been canceled. How hard can it hurt? The only thing I can do now is just be true to myself. And when I stream like this, the things that I say, and this is why I'm not worried about the person I found out was angry at me over something I said. I'm not worried because everything I say comes from my heart. And you know what? If you can't handle that, then maybe we aren't supposed to be friends. Moving on. More birthdays. Look at that. Wally George made me upset, made me think about somebody who's mad at me for something I said on this show. Have a beer with me. Let's talk it through. And then I'll point out what an asshole you are and how dumb you are, and then we'll never speak again. That's how that'll go down. Because I'm not a pussy about it. I mean, I'm not going to back down. You're not going to change my mind. I'm pretty confident about who I am as a person and how I see the world, my feelings towards others. The idea of like give everybody a chance until it's absolutely irredeemable on their part to get back in your good graces. That's it. You got to keep giving people chances. People can change. People can't change. Never trust anybody. You know, this whole attitude, I push back on it. Life is so much better when you just kind of believe in optimism. Born on this day in 1933. How about this guy? Is this the guy? There's two people with this name. This is one of the craziest names in the history of crazy names. And there are two celebrities with this exact same name. And I don't like it. I think it's weird. Happy birthday to American game show host and legend. Named legend. He's a legend because of his name. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday, Wink Martindale. That's right. There are two of these guys. You got Wink Martindale, the game show host, and then there's like an NFL coordinator named Wink Martindale. It's like, what? That can't both be. That can't be. Coordinator's got to be named after the game show host, right? Because there's no way that two people whose last name was Martingale. Or is it Martindale? Martindale. Two people whose name is Martindale. There is no way they just independently, without anything, went, let's name them Wink. Is there like a mutual grandpappy named Wink? I don't know. It's just weird. Happy birthday, Wink Martindale. Born on this day in 1937. How about Max Baer Jr.? Jethro Bodine from Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies. Jethro Bodine. Nepo baby. That's right. Jethro Bodine on the Beverly Hillbillies was a Nepo baby. That's why he's going around as Max Baer Jr. because his dad was Max Baer. Who was Max Baer? Well, Max Baer was heavyweight champion of the world, I think, for a period of time. I think he was heavyweight champion of the world. I'm not sure. I think he was. He was a big, very famous boxer who went to Hollywood, started acting, and then did producing and stuff like that. At any rate, he had a kid, Max Baer Jr., and Max Baer Jr. came out of nowhere. It just so happened to be cast in the Beverly Hillbillies. Now, I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing out that the Nepo baby thing that seems to be all popular today and all these Gen Zers and millennials are like, oh, this is not fair. When did this happen? It's always happened. Hollywood is a company town. Families tend to go into the family business. That's what Hollywood is. On this day, in 1944, Dennis Wilson was born. Dennis Wilson, American singer, songwriter. Not really. He's a drummer. And he wasn't even a good drummer. What he was the only member of the Beach Boys who was actually a Beach Boy. Dennis Wilson was forced to play drums in his brothers and cousins band. Dennis Wilson was forced to play drums in the band by the dad, Murray, because Murray had this whole idea of what the band should be, and nobody in the band knew how to surf except for Dennis. Dennis was the sort of brand of the Beach Boys. Dennis, of course, would become good friends with Charles Manson later in his life. That was kind of weird. Then he would die. Dennis Wilson is the Beach Boy who died in 1983 diving into shallow water off the bow of his boat. He lived on a boat because he was a real beach boy, because he was like a real water guy. So he lived on a houseboat in some fancy marina there in LA. And he got drunk, because that's the other thing about Dennis Wilson. He was a drunk. He got drunk and he decided to dive off the bow of his boat while it was marred in the harbor. And apparently the water level was too low and he broke his neck and died. Happy birthday to you, though, Dennis Wilson. There you go. Born on this day in 1944. Born on this day in 1949. So I didn't do a draft for this guy, although I should. I feel like I've done drafts of him in the past. He's just one of my favorite actors. He's certainly one of my favorite actors working today. And he's one of these dudes that, when he dies, because he got sick recently, and I was very concerned about that. Hold on. There we go. Happy birthday to the great Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges, come on, right? So you do a draft, and what is it? By default, you go, the dude from Big Lebowski. I don't know that that's it. So let's set that up. But we're not going to do a draft. We're going to do a little draft process, okay? I'm going to show you how I do the draft process. So when I look at a celebrity and we open up their full film resume and we decide to do an NFL-style draft on them, I have a process that I utilize, and typically we only do the actual draft. So I'm going to show you how I do this. So we start out with a belief, right? So I start out with the number one draft pick for the Jeff Bridges draft is probably going to be the dude from Big Lebowski, right? Okay, so Big Lebowski is number one. Now I go through his filmography and I look at films and I see, is there anything better than the Big Lebowski? So we run through them. You go all the way back to 73. You got Last American Hero. You got Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Okay, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. That was a good movie. That was one of the movies that was on all the time in the 70s on TV. So that might make it into my draft. Moving on. Stay Hungry, which was like a weightlifting bodybuilding movie, I think. King Kong. Him, Jessica Lange, like not the original. The original was in the 30s. The original remake of King Kong, which was huge for me as a kid. That was 1976 or something. Okay, so that's interesting. King Kong. He's also Heaven's Gate. See, I would put him in 1980. He made Heaven's Gate. Michael Cimino's massive, legendary box office disaster. He spent a whole lot of money for the time, and nobody went and saw this movie. And so Heaven's Gate has now become sort of the catchphrase for, oh my God, are you making another Heaven's Gate? The budget's getting out of control. We've got another Heaven's Gate. What happened was Michael Cimino was kind of an arrogant filmmaker, and he got on the wrong side of the press. He got on the wrong side of critics. And when Heaven's Gate came out, the critics destroyed it, and nobody went and saw it, and it was a massive box office failure. I implore anybody who's a film fan, to see Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate is an amazing film. It is an amazing film that was destroyed because Michael Cimino was an asshole to the press. Now, how do I know this? Because years later, I mean, you look at revised, there's all kinds of revised. There's been books written about Heaven's Gate, but even critics who said that they trashed it, they were like, yeah, I was young, and I actually, you revisit it and you watch the film again 20 years later, and it's actually quite good. It is. So there you go. I would put Heaven's Gate on my Jeff Bridges draft. Tron. How do you not? Like, he was Tron. Yeah, he was the dude in the Big Lebowski, but Jeff Bridges was also Tron. Jagged Edge was an incredible movie. Tucker, The Man and His Machine, that would make my list. I love Tucker. It's one of my favorite Jeff Bridges movies. It's why he's one of my favorite actors. Fabulous Baker Boys, Texasville, The Fisher King. Come on. Big Lebowski in 1998. Arlington Road, the movie about the bomber. That was good. K-Pax, I like that. Seabiscuit, I like that. The Amateurs. Now, The Amateurs I liked. I really like The Amateurs. You know why? Because that's how I met Jeff Bridges. And that's how I decided that he's the coolest actor in Hollywood. Jeff Bridges was doing this little independent film called The Amateurs about a bunch of small town people who go into amateur porn making. And he decided, because there wasn't a big budget on it, that big star A-lister Hollywood, Jeff Bridges, was going to do radio interviews. And lo and behold, he came in studio. He was in Dallas, and Jeff Bridges came in studio, and he hung out with us. He seemed to really enjoy his time with us because, you know, when you get someone like Jeff Bridges, they go 15 minutes in and out, no exceptions. You need to be looking in the window because you're going to have eye contact with the publicist, because the publicist, these are literally things that they've said, which means you never make eye contact with the publicist. They tell you 10 minutes, keep your eye on the publicist in the producer booth, because they'll let you know when to wrap it up. And then you never look at the publicist. You do it on purpose, because you're just like... Jeff Bridges stayed for the better part of an hour. He was terrific. He was such a lovely man. Iron Man, of course, he's doing the Iron movies now. True Grit had the John Wayne role in True Grit. Hell or High Water, that was another good one. He's just the best, ladies and gentlemen. I wouldn't even know. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Bridges. Born on this day in 1949. Is he cool? Yeah. Born on this day in 1964, Marissa Tomei. Is she cool? Yeah. I like Marissa Tomei. Although I get her confused. I get, there is like, okay, so here you go. Are you ready? Hollywood Clone Factory. So we've got 3 of them. They got into like this weird like ethnic thing. Like they got tired of pumping out Meg Ryans and Goldie Hawns and Kate Hudson's and now Kaylee Cuoco's. They got tired of cranking that model out from the Hollywood Clone Factory. And in the 90s, they were like, you know, we need more ethnicity. So that's where we got all of these, like, we had Marissa Tomei, we had Annabella Sciorra, we had who's the other one I'm trying to think of? I can't think of it. Well, we even had sort of a Latina version of it in Rosie Perez. Those were the I get them all confused. Anyway, happy birthday, Marissa Tomei. Marissa Tomei, born on this day in 1964, and yes, just so we clear, she absolutely did win the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny. This is one of the worst Hollywood things. This is terrible for Marissa Tomei. Marissa Tomei legitimately won the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny. Jack Palance is the guy who read it. And because Jack Palance was old, Rex Reed, a bad gay. Yeah, there's good. Rex Reed is one of them bad gays. I'm not saying that all gays are bad or good. I'm saying that they're just like people. There's good and bad. There's bad dentists too. But Rex Reed is one of those like bitchy, mean. He was always terrible. He was the fact he's gay doesn't make him bad. He's just bad who happens to also be gay. Is my point, but he's a bad gay. I always looked at Rex Reed and went, he's a bad gay. Rex Reed was mean. He was terrible. He made up a story from whole cloth that Jack Palance had accidentally read Marissa Tomei's name because he was old and feeble. How horrible. There was no truth to that at all. The Academy for 30 years has been going, look, that can't happen because we have a system in place that would stop somebody from awarding the Oscar to the wrong name read. They do. They have a system. And now they point that out with Moonlight. Remember Moonlight and was it La La Land and Moonlight? The wrong movie was given. They read the name of the wrong movie. And what happened? Everybody came up and they started celebrating, but immediately there were checks and balances in place that people came out on stage and said, no, this is wrong. And I remember Jimmy Kimmel had to make that weird, no, sorry, it's actually not, So they have that. There is somebody from Price Waterhouse standing off stage, right off stage, ready to run on stage, who knows what the name of the winner is. It's the only person who knows. And in the case of what Rex Reed said, doddering old Jack Palance accidentally read Marissa Tomei's name, him saying that couldn't happen. Because if Jack Palance had read the wrong name, the dude in the suit from Price Waterhouse would have walked out on stage. That's why he's standing there. And it's always been in place, and we saw it happen with Moonlight. So let's stop being mean to Marissa Tomei because Rex Reed was bitter about whatever. But you want to know Rex Reed? Read his Wikipedia page. That son of a bitch. He's a failed actor. Rex Reed wanted to be a movie star, and it didn't work out for him because he was a talentless hack. So what did he do instead? He internalized all of that bitterness and became one of the meanest, cruelest Hollywood critics in history. Bad gay. Bad gay. And I say bad gay because he was openly gay. He was one of the first openly gay. And a lot of people gave him a lot of, oh, isn't he brave? Fuck him brave. He's an asshole. Can't one of the nice ones come out first? There's a lot of nice gays. All right. What was that? Was that a Marissa Tomei rant? That was a Marissa Tomei rant that turned into fuck you, Rex Reed. Because he ruined her. He was mean to her. She has never lived that down. Marissa Tomei walks into a room and people go, she didn't really win the Oscar. That's terrible for her. Born on this day in 1966, the great Fred Armisen. He cool. I like Fred Armisen. Fred Armisen, this is crazy. So Fred Armisen has become one of my favorite comedic actors and performers. I just love anytime Fred Armisen pops in something, he moves into the scene. I go, something funny's gonna happen. Just look at his face. Like Fred Armisen's face. You just can't look at his face without starting to smile. Bill Murray has that effect on me. Chris Elliott has that effect on me. Bill Hader has that effect on me, which is why it was so great when Bill Hader and Fred Armisen teamed up for Documentary Now. If you have never seen Documentary Now, the series of spoof documentaries it was an IFC series, but it's on Hulu or Netflix or something like that. It's the funniest show of the last 20 years. Shut up. Right? I got to shut up when I say that. It's one of the funniest shows. It's one of my favorite shows for sure. I can't say funniest shows the last 20 years because then I go, man, there's been a lot of funny shit. There's a lot of good, What We Do in the Shadows. I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff. So anyway, Fred Armisen, happy birthday. He makes me laugh. Oh, the interesting thing about Fred Armisen. So he goes on, he becomes this big, he goes to Saturday Night Live and all this kind of stuff. And then it's pointed out to me like years later, after I'm a big fan of Fred Armisen, people are like, we used to see him all the time. You've probably hung out with him. And I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all, but I probably did because Fred Armisen played drums. He was a drummer. He was a rock drummer in the alt Wicker Park scene in Chicago of the 1990s. The scene when I was at Q101, the alt station, when I was like neck deep in that, I'm out there, I'm seeing Material Issue and the Smashing Pumpkins and Urge Overkill and, Veruca Salt and Liz Phair, right? Seeing all these bands. Well, Fred Armisen was in one of these bands. What was the band that he was in? It wasn't Catherine Wheel. I know it wasn't Catherine Wheel, and I know it wasn't Poi Dog, but why do I think he was in Poi Dog? I don't know, whatever. They're like, dude, you remember when he used to drum for, and now I can't remember the name of the band. But anyway, happy birthday, Fred Armisen. I like you. And if we met, I don't remember, but cool that you went on to be famous for other things. That's like my Tina Fey, Amy Poehler story. I have a great Amy Poehler, Tina Fey story before they were famous. We were sent down to, I was producing a morning show and we were looking for comedy people. So we used to go and hang out at the Second City, just trying to find funny people, hungry, funny people that might want to participate on our morning show. And we were at the bar across the Old Town Tavern, which is across the street from the legendary Second City Theater in Chicago. And it's the bar where everybody drinks. Everybody from Joan Rivers to, Alan Arkin, to John Belushi, to Bill Murray, to Chris Farley. It's where all of the people who went to the, after you perform at Second City, you go across the street to the Old Town. And, it's a very cool place. And also a lot of the people who work at Second City or train, I should say, you don't work at Second City, you train at Second City. A lot of the people who train at Second City, they need waitressing jobs and shit like that. So time and time again, they end up working at the Old Town as bartenders or whatever. So you walk into the Old Town and the person tending bar or the waitress bringing you a drink, you might see her on Saturday Night Live in 2 years. And you'll be like, wait a second. That's what happened with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. We were sent down there. And so we were just hanging out at the Old Town and we were talking to people. And the guy I was with, I wasn't as well known at the time as the guy I was with. Doc, the guy I was with, was like the mayor of Chicago. We could walk into any room. So we were sitting there and we told the bartender, that guy knew Doc, of course. He told the bartender, he's like, hey, who's, we're looking to meet some people. We're just looking to strike up, relationships with people who work over there. And they said, okay, fine. And we met a whole bunch of people. Two of them were two waitresses who were really funny. And one of them Tina Fey, we actually used on the show, but they were just waitresses. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and I remember actually thinking that Amy Poehler was way cuter because I was a single guy at the time. I'm like, Amy, but now I think Tina Fey's cuter. But back then it was Tina. Moving on, they're both incredibly talented people, which is why I think it's kind of neat that I remember them when they were just waitresses. Happy birthday to Fred Armisen. Knew him when he was just a drummer, although I don't remember knowing him, but my friend says that we did. We hung out with him, or at least in a group, and they were there. Isn't that weird too? Think about all the groups of people that you have randomly just spent time with on a random Saturday night in April of 1997, just randomly, just groups of people you're in a room with. How many of them are serial killers? Like, how many rooms of serial killers have you been in? And how many rooms of people who would go on to be super famous? Like, were you ever maybe on an airplane with a 10-year-old Taylor Swift? You don't know. Isn't that fun though? It's fun to think about. Moving on. Happy birthday. Here's a big one. We got to spend a little time on this one, although I don't know why we should spend a whole lot of time on this. He's just one of the most important cultural icons of our time. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1969, Jay-Z. What do you get Jay-Z? What do you get Jay-Z for his birthday? He's got everything. Born on this day in 1973. I remember the first time I saw this person. She was wearing a bathing suit. She was in a picture. She wasn't really famous at the time, but in my mind, she became famous instantly. And I never forgot. Never forgot seeing her. She was like, the first time I saw this woman, I was like, wow. Or she was a girl. She was probably a girl. She's probably like 20 the first time I saw her. And again, it was on a poster. Man, she still looks good because, when you start out that physically perfect, and by that I mean a face that could start wars and a body that could end them. I mean, she was just perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday, born on this day, 1973, Tyra Banks. And she was legendary. For a good 18 months, she was like, woo, you seen them new Tyra Banks pictures? She was great. All right, that's it. That's going to do it for birthdays. Quarter 2 is in the books. Now we're going to do the deads. These are the people who have died. We open up their life resume and we decide whether or not heaven or hell. Dead on this day in 1967, Bert Lahr, the Cowardly Lion. Yeah, of course. What are we going to do? We're going to send the Cowardly Lion to hell for what reason? Tin Man, maybe. I got questions about the Tin Man. Cowardly Lion, he was so willing to be vulnerable. That man evolved. Whatever happens next, he gets to move on. Bert Lahr. Bert Lahr was an evolved, self-actualized cowardly lion. He knew it. He admitted it. And he wanted to be better. We must reward that. Bert Lahr, I'm not going to hit his Wikipedia page because, that's when I don't know anything about Bert Lahr other than he was the Cowardly Lion. And now that I think it through, maybe that wasn't even who he was. Who was Ray Bolger was the Tin Man. Bert Lahr was the Cowardly Lion. Who is the Tin Man? I don't care. All right, moving on. Bert Lahr, we're going to put you into heaven because I don't want to click on your Wikipedia page and find out that you beat up women or something. I don't need that. On this day in 1976, American guitarist and songwriter, interestingly enough, guitarist for Deep Purple, which would, of course, write Smoke on the Water, which happened on this day. Tommy Bolin died in 1976. He's a rock star, so I think he's got to go to hell, but that's okay. Isn't that weird? Weird coincidence. Like on this day, we talked about the whole Smoke on the Water thing. We talked about how on this day in Montreux, Switzerland, during a concert by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, a fan in the crowd shot off a flare gun, starting a fire in the arena. And then Deep Purple, the bandmate, the guys in Deep Purple who were there at the concert, wrote a song called Smoke on the Water. The song Smoke on the Water would go on to be a massive hit, a rock and roll staple. That happened on this day. Also on this day, the guitar player who came up. No, that wasn't him. But anyway, one of the guitar players who came up with, one of the guitar players for Deep Purple, Tommy Bolin, died on this day. How weird is that? He's going to hell because he's a rock star. So are we putting all that together? Are we putting together that on this day in Montreux, this is why we run through these. We look for rhythms. We look for patterns. So on erstwhile in this day, we discovered that it was the Frank Zappa show where the fire started, that Deep Purple wrote the song Smoke on the Water. We just found out that on this day in 1976, Tommy Bolin, who was in Deep Purple for a period of time, I don't know if he was a main guy, but he died on this day. Same day that the incident, their biggest hit, my biggest hit, Crushes. No, is it Crush? What is it? Hush, hush, thought I heard hug my baby, now hush. That's a good one too by Deep Purple. But, so wow, isn't that weird? How coincidental is that? See, rhythms. Deep Purple guitar player dies. Deep Purple's in a concert. Okay, so moving on. Dead on this day in 1993, Frank Zappa. That's right. That's right. Oh, you thought I was just, spinning my wheels? You didn't think I was working into something? How weird is that? On this day, Frank Zappa played a concert where the place burnt down. On this day, Deep Purple was in the audience. They wrote the song Smoke on the Water. On this day in 1976, the guitar player, one of the guitar players of Deep Purple, Tommy Bolin, dies. Also dies on this day. Frank Zappa, the guy who was on, that is too weird. That is too weird. By the way, Zappa's going to heaven. Zappa's going to heaven, although Zappa probably doesn't want to go to heaven. Although I think Zappa does want to go to heaven. All right, this is hard. This is hard because although he's a rock star, but Frank Zappa was a great man. Frank Zappa was a great man. If you don't know anything about Zappa, if you don't know anything about the way he thought, the way he lived, the way he saw the world, you are depriving yourself. This guy was fantastic. I mean, first of all, the dude never had a hit. You can't name, only weird Zappa people can name Zappa hits. The biggest, most noticeable Frank Zappa song of all time was performed and became a hit by his daughter. The only hit song he's ever had was Valley Girl. Remember Valley Girl? Moon Unit Zappa put that out in the 80s. Valley Girl, she's a Valley Girl. Okay, fine, for sure. Frank Zappa was a musical genius. I don't like anything that he did. No, That's because he was a genius, and we can't handle it. I'm not a big Zappa fan. I know people who are. All my friends who are big Zappa fans are a little crazy, which I think maybe that's what you need to be. However, that doesn't deny the fact that none of us, we all know his name. We all know who Frank Zappa is. We can't name one thing that he did, and the dude made a shit ton of money. Why? Because he was just a very, very well-regarded music man. You know, other people would come to him and he would produce and he would work and he would put bands together. He did it all without commercial hits. Frank Zappa toured the world. Frank Zappa sold millions and millions of records. He did it all without any radio support. And he was an ardent supporter for the core American values that I have, which are freedom and liberty and get out of my bedroom and leave me alone and central government with overreaching powers. That was his whole thing. And he was a great man. Frank Zappa, I'm putting him in heaven because I think he would like to go to heaven just to have all of these really cool debates. Have you ever heard Frank Zappa debate? Go pull up some YouTube things. You look at him and you're like, look at this weird hippie freak. And then he starts talking and you're like, what is this guy, an Oxford professor? How does this guy know all this stuff? He was a genius. That's why. Frank Zappa, we're putting him in heaven. Dead on this day in 1993. I can tell you this, that on this day when he died in 1993, I was producing a morning show. My host, I didn't know anything about Frank Zappa until my host, Kevin Matthews, turned me on to him. Kevin Matthews was a Frank Zappa freak. And Frank, or Uncle Frank, as he was called on the show, was a regular. He was a regular caller. He would hang out when he was in town. He would come in studio. And then his kids, Dweezil and Amit, became like regulars on our show. They were always just hanging around. I went bowling with Dweezil and Amit. So when he died on this day in 1993, we knew that he was sick. We knew this wasn't like he didn't die in a paragliding incident. He was sick. He had been sick, so we knew. So weeks ahead of time, I had created this Frank Zappa life montage as producer of the morning show. I worked really hard on it, man. And then I had this experience as well as a producer when Frank Sinatra died. Frank Sinatra died like 2 years after we thought he was going to die. Frank Sinatra hung on. We had a Frank Sinatra reel that was unbelievably good, and I never got to play it because I had left before Frank actually died. But we were ready. We had it on the shelf, ready to go. I just remember that. I just remember walking in that morning going, shit, I'm going to use the Frank Zappa reel today. I didn't think that was a thing. All right, there you have it. That's going to do it. Those are the people in heaven. We've done all 3 quarters. We've done erstwhile on this day, a look back at the history of this day. We've done birthdays where we look at people and decide if they're cool or not. And then we've done deaths. That's quarter 1, 2, and 3. Now, let us move in, if we shall, to the meat and potatoes of the show. That's right. This is where we talk about all the things that are happening today, what you need to know about the world as it unfolds in these very seconds. What else? Yeah, that's it. Nope. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll switch it over. Boom. There you go. I'm putting that back up there. If you're so moved, you want to help support this kind of talk radio every day, Monday through Friday, going on for 2.5 years now. We are in year 3 and we have made it because of you folks. We were about 75. Was that the number 70? I don't know. I'm going to pull up the number, whatever the number was that we were short this month. We didn't make it this month. So if you want to help us get a little bit closer, certainly don't expect to make the number, but I'm going to leave it open. Thank you. All right, let's go. Israel. Still got to talk about Israel. That's going to be the first thing every show because Israel is the big global story. Well, I feel bad for them Ukrainians, huh? Ain't nobody care about Ukraine no more. No. Ukrainian kids, screw them. Now it's all about Gazas and Palestinian kids. Israel, the temporary ceasefire between Hamas and Israel ended over the weekend on Friday. Israel has now resumed their ass kicking. Israel is just, they're back into it. Remember how we said the ceasefire came because there was global pressure. Israel was not interested in a ceasefire. Israel does not negotiate for hostages. But the rest of the world, 2 weeks into Israel just kicking the shit out of Gaza. 2 weeks into it, the globe started going, all right. And I use the analogy of the parking lot fight where one guy is getting the better of the other. And he's on top and he's just hitting him. And at some point, people in the crowd, and that's the global community, start going, leave him alone. He's had enough. And they're just, and it gets painful to what. That's what it was. So Israel said, fine. Here's what we're going to do. You give us this many hostages. Israel doesn't even, let me phrase this properly. I almost said Israel doesn't even care about the hostages. That's not true. They do. What Israel does care about, though, is their place in that community in the Middle East. And they know that if they begin to negotiate for hostages, then that's, just a slippery slope, and all kinds of bad things are going to come from that. So they have had a position of, we don't negotiate with hostages. Being an Israeli citizen knows that if you are taken, we will not come get you, but we will exact the vengeance of the heavens upon all. That's always been Israel's philosophy. And it has kept them safe. So now we're sort of seeing a divergence from this, because the rest of the world is going, you gotta leave them alone. The end of the ceasefire came after Hamas freed 100 of the more than 200 people its militants took hostage during the October 7th surprise attack on Israel. In exchange, Israel released more than 200 Palestinians from Israeli prisons. They should have tagged them all, though, right? You release them and they don't know it. You tell them they're being inoculated, and they got to have something like this. I see movies. I think they got stuff like this. So they shoot something in your arm, and then it tracks you, so that when this is all over, they can just go in or round up those prisoners again and go, yeah, no, it was just a temporary release, you son of a bitch. You're going back to prison. You're a suicide bomber. We can't let you just roam the streets. Or I guess a suicide bomber wouldn't roam the streets. You know what I mean? All right. Big news coming out of the Red Sea. An American warship, the USS, what was it? The Carney? The USS Carney has come under attack from Houthi rebel drones. I don't know what that means. Houthi rebel drone. What are Houthi rebels? U.S. destroyer Carney shot down 2 Houthi rebel drones. These Houthi rebel drones are swarming the Red Sea, and apparently they're disrupting shipping lanes. And the Houthi rebels are like, we're going to blow up Israeli shipping ships. They're trying to disrupt Israeli trade and all that stuff. Understandable. They're at war. But these drones, the United States Carney was responding in the area to distress calls from Israeli ships. As the Carney appeared on the scenes, the drones then made their move on the Carney. Didn't go well for the drones. That was, I don't know. Look, I don't know what the financial statements are for the Houthi rebels, but I do know that these kinds of military drones are probably expensive. And you maybe shouldn't have made the hard turn to go after the U.S. destroyer. Maybe that wasn't the smart. You're just a couple of drones. They have these failing systems and all this kind of stuff. You never stood a chance, my friends. And whoever, you know that there is some Houthi commander who right now is actually the person who probably piloted the drones that made the move towards the U.S. commander. That dude's probably beheaded. There's no way that guy was allowed to continue his job. Wait, you engaged with a U.S. destroyer. We were attacking unarmed merchant vessels. Why did you turn? Do you know what these drones cost? Seriously, that's going on. The U.S. destroyer shoots down drones over the Red Sea. Houthi rebels have claimed responsibility for the drone attacks. The U.S. Carney was responding to distress calls by ships in the region being attacked. The drones were destroyed after the Houthis. The drones were destroyed after the Houthis' drones targeted the Carney. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Not with a drone. That's cute. That's so cute and misguided, and you really shouldn't have done that. Oh, well, 2 less drones we have to worry about from the Houthi rebels. Supreme Court. This is interesting. Supreme Court is hearing a couple of big deals today. This one is interesting. The court is going to hear an argument in Moore versus the United States. What this does is it challenges a piece of the tax code. This is a very big Supreme Court ruling that has to do with our tax code as it sits today. Now, as our tax code sits today, what this is about, I'll dumb it down because I'm a dumb guy. What these people are saying is they own a business and they do business with foreign countries. A lot of their income depends on sales and all that of foreign countries. The U.S. tax code apparently, as I understand this, has a thing. I'm not an expert. Has a thing in it where you are taxed for sales that you haven't paid for yet from foreign governments. So the government, like the American government says, you're doing business with Turkey, huh? It looks like you've got this much business going in Turkey. We're going to tax you on that. And then the businesses in America are like, wait, we don't have that money. We haven't been paid by them yet. That's all just, these are. So anyway, apparently that's how the tax code works. It's a really big deal. People are freaking out about it. Tax people are freaking out about it. People are excited. Some people are angry. Anyway, that's what's happening with the Supreme Court. There's another thing happening with the Supreme Court. What are they doing? There was another thing. I don't know. I think it was probably politically divisive, so I moved on. All right. Texas Nazis are in the nude. Yeah, news. Yeah, we got them. We got Nazis down here in Texas. The Texas, what is this rule? This is the Texas GOP took a vote on what, this is what it was. Oh my God. So all the Texas Republicans got together and they got together in one place and one of them stood up and said, hey, let's have a vote. And the vote was, what do you want to vote on? And somebody said, why don't we vote on whether or not we should hang out with white supremacists, right? That was the vote. That was just kind of vague, but whatever. They said, no, we should be allowed to hang out with white supremacists. We'll get into more details. Texas GOP Executive Committee rejects proposed ban on associating with Nazi sympathizers and Holocaust deniers. Some members of the committee said such a ban, proposed 2 months after a prominent conservative activist was caught meeting with a famous white supremacist, might be a slippery slope or too vague. Well, I will agree with them on this. Let's get more specific wording in this, because this is way too vague. You can't, the GOP, that's no. And by the way, it says ban on associating with Nazi sympathizers and Holocaust deniers. That sounds pretty absolute. I mean, don't you think there's a missing word there? In the word alleged? I mean, because it needs to be more specific. You need to be known to be a Nazi if you're going to start firing people from elected office or not allowing people to run for elective office because of, someone's hand they shook on the campaign trail. Look, I'm all for the spirit of it. And, I applaud whoever it was in the Texas Republican Party who had enough support for this to bring it to a vote. But, because the spirit of it is good. Yeah, we shouldn't be hanging around with hateful people. We shouldn't be, as a political party, associating with known hateful, bad people. But unfortunately, I think we live in an era now where we all need to decide what is hateful and what is bad, because we can't even agree on that. We can't even enjoy it. It was always, you raise your kids to know the difference between good and bad. Well, I don't think we have any solid consensus on what good or bad is nowadays. That's a problem. So anyway, that's what's happening in the Texas GOP. They're just going to be free to hang out with whoever they want. Nazis, Klan members, whatever. Doesn't matter. It is way too vague. I actually agree with them. That version, the way that was worded, is way too vague. You got to be more specific. Santos is in the news. Don't we love him? We already miss him, don't we? That's right. What was his name? What was his first name? Let's call him Frank. Frank Santos. Well, I don't even remember his name. And that's good. That's good that I don't remember his name, because I don't need him. Frank Santos, whatever his name is. Someone in the chat room tell me his name so I don't have to look it up. George. There you go. It's George. Just remembered. I'm like, what's George? George Santos. So he was kicked out of Congress because he's he's so silly. He's like an improv congressman. Like, he's not even like, there's no rules for him. So he got kicked out. He's no longer a congressman, and he is mad, boy. He is talking all kinds of garbage on everybody. He's going to file a whole bunch of ethics investigations. He's calling women lesbians. She's gay. He's like outing people. I mean, he's just like a woman scorned. I'm telling you, this guy, he's bad. He's bad gay too. We talked about Rex Reed. George Santos is bad gay. He's bad gay. A bad gay would out another person, and he's outing like some congresswoman. HBO, we've also got a piece of this George Santos nonsense, because this, and I'm looking forward to this. HBO is making the movie. HBO's making the movie Fabulous. The George Soros story. Santos. Sorry, George Soros. That's another guy we're supposed to hate, right? I don't know who that guy is. You always hear, George Soros is bad. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm sure he is. He's another guy we're supposed to hate. This is George Santos. This guy I think we can legitimately, we don't have to hate, because hate is such a strong word. This is a guy that we can roll our eyes and goof on. That's fine. We don't have to hate him. I mean, everybody's redeemable, even this weirdo. But he's got a lot of work to do. This weirdo's got a lot of work to do. So HBO's making the movie Fabulous, the George Santos story. And that's good. That's really good because HBO doesn't do shit. I don't mean HBO doesn't do shit. HBO does a lot of shit. HBO doesn't do shit. Everything HBO does is good. So this is going to be fun. And their political stuff, whether it's what was it? They did the one on the 2000 election recount. That's so good. Recount is so good. HBO movie. If you've never seen Recount, and then they did the one on Palin where Julianne Moore played Palin. That was so good, about how Palin was recruited to be vice president. So fascinating. Oh my God, HBO does great stuff, especially in the political realm. They're always fun. That's going to be on HBO coming this summer. They say they're already going to start shooting. The book was written. The book has been purchased. The book is fabulous. Frank Rich is involved. Here's how you also know it's good. Frank Rich is involved. Frank Rich, Succession. He's the guy who basically was in charge of Succession. I know we all think it was Will Ferrell and the other guy in Adam McKay, but it was actually Frank Rich doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. Frank Rich has signed the deal with Deadline to bring the George Santos film to the network. Gold, I tell you, gold is going crazy. That sell everything and just buy gold. Sell everything you own and then just have a gigantic gold nugget in your backyard. That's it. That's all you need to live. Gold prices are going insane. Gold has risen more than 600% since the turn of the millennium. Adjusted for inflation. This is fun. This says, because you would think that gold is like insane. But gold in 1980 was actually at its highest price when adjusted for inflation. Gold in 1980 was $850 an ounce for a period of time. That would be $3,000 an ounce in today's world. But what is today's gold? Today's gold is close. Today's gold is like two grand an ounce. Let's see here. Gold. Be prepared for all the Glenn Beck commercials because he's trustworthy. Alex Jones, Glenn Beck. You don't need your kids' college fund. Buy gold from my friends at the Gold Brokers. 1-800-GOLD. It's going to be that kind of a thing. Don't do that. Let's see here. Gold surged to a new high as growing expectations for U.S. rate cuts early next year spurred a rush into buying. What is gold at? $2,135 an ounce. Gold is currently at $2,135 an ounce. Now, I remember during the mortgage crisis when mortgage went down, that was Fannie and Freddie and all that. That was when I first started noticing all of the buy gold, all of the AM talk radio was 100% buy gold. Glenn Beck, buy gold. And it was like $400 an ounce then. And I remember people going, that's a lot. It's like $2,100 an ounce now. Jeez Louise. That seems like it was only like 15 years ago. Anyway, gold, buy gold. College football playoffs. Let's talk about that. Okay, so the college football playoffs were announced yesterday and everybody's angry. Not here in Texas. Okay. I mean, I get it. I'm happy about it. I'm really happy about it. Here's what we're looking at. College football playoffs, the top 4 teams will be playing for the national football title in the little tournament that we got here. Let's see here. Who we got? We got number 1 Michigan. All right, so the Michigan Wolverines, who I tell you, I thought Iowa was going to put up a better fight than that. I thought Iowa was in it till halftime, and then nope. Michigan, number 1 overall, 13-0 on the season. They will take on number 4 Bama. Bama is 12-1. Bama! Oh my God, Bama screwed everything up. Bama beating Georgia screwed everything up. Wasn't supposed to be Bama here. Yeah. And then number 2, Washington, who is 13-0, is going to take on Texas, who is 12-1. here's what I look at this. All right. So I look at these 4 teams, and you know what my first thought was? And I'm sorry to my son, who may or may not be listening to this. My son is a UT. You know, he wants to go to UT or he wants to go to Notre Dame. He wants to play football at both, but those are the 2 places that he's, you know. I'm sorry to say this, but I looked at this pairing and I went, oh my God, Saban's going to get another title. That's what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here. Bama, number 4, is absolutely going to beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl, because that's what happens. And now, of course, if it's not good, Bama is not going to lose to Michigan. I mean, it just seems like Midwestern teams, when they play SC teams in bowl games, get humiliated on you know, the days after New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. It used to be New Year's Day. All these bowl games used to happen on New Year's Day, but now there's ways to make more money. So we stretch it out. We make it now. Yeah, I mean, Washington over Texas, 2 over number 3, 13-0 versus 12-1. I mean, I'm going to take Texas. You know, the Pac-10 doesn't really impress me. I'm going to take Texas in that matchup. And then, you know, I'm taking Bama over Michigan, as I just said. And then I think we're going to have a Bama-Texas title game. And wow, won't that be great? But it scares the shit out of me because I think Bama's going to roll. I don't know. I really thought we were done. Look, I'm not a big fan of Kirby Smart, but I thought we had solved our Saban problem. I thought the Alabama Saban problem had been solved. Georgia, 2 years in a row, dominant. No Alabama. And now look, Alabama's back. Now, how does 13-0 Florida State feel about this? Oh, and don't even look, I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan, and I get all the but there are Notre Dame fans who are like, how come we got excluded? Oh, shut up. You know what? Notre Dame, and I say this from a place of love, okay, because you're my team. You're my number 1 college team. I can't wait for my son to play for you. It'll be the proudest moment of my life. I'm tired of being embarrassed by you, Notre Dame, in bowl games. I don't care. I don't want you playing in a big bowl game. No more. Let's go, well, we can bring the biggest audience in all of football. Well, that might be true. I mean, the networks do agree with that. Notre Dame is always good for top ratings because, I mean, that is true. That's why Notre Dame is the only school that has a network, a television network for 30 years. They're the exclusive home. All the games. You play every game on national TV. Why? Not because Notre Dame's so great. I hate that. This is not about Notre Dame's so great. No, it's not. It's because there's a very unique thing with Notre Dame, which is all other colleges are dependent upon alumni or region. Every other college, every other university is dependent on people who went there or you live in the state where it is. That's really how fan bases for college football exist, not Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the college of choice for every Irish Catholic in the country from coast to coast. That's why Notre Dame, that's why NBC went, let's sign up Notre Dame, because there are Irish Catholics from Los Angeles to San Francisco, from Maine to Florida, New York, Chicago, all over. So that's what that's about. And that's always the argument or why undeserving Notre Dame teams always get high-profile bowl games. It's because they bring a gigantic audience. Not because they're great. It's bullshit. It's all about money. We know it's all about money. But to see people, Notre Dame fans go, we should have been in there. It's like, oh, shut up. Florida State has a legit complaint. Florida State's 13-0. There are 2 teams here, Texas and Bama, who both have a loss. And yet Florida State's running around 13-0, and they didn't get. Well, here's the problem with Florida State. And again, this is why I sort of started talking about Notre Dame, because I wanted to show you that this isn't personal. This is about money. That's all it's about. It's why Notre Dame gets high-profile bowl games when they don't deserve them. And it's why Florida State didn't get moved into the top 4. Here's why. Florida State would have had to have played Bama. Florida State doesn't have their quarterback. Tate Rodemaker has been injured for weeks. Now, they limped through the end of the season, Florida State did, with, backups and all that kind of stuff. But everybody knows that a Florida State with a backup quarterback is going to lose to Bama 50-0. And they didn't want that. Is that fair? No, because the quarterback is not the whole team. So what if you're like the linebacker at Florida State who played his ass off for a 13-0 team, who dug in when the quarterback went down, who played shutdown? That's a team. The team went 13-0. The fact that their quarterback is missing, well, yeah, I know we can look at this and go, well, this is probably going to be for an ugly bowl game. So no. These kids earned 13-0. Those kids deserve to be there. But money is why these kids at Florida State are being completely screwed over. Money. And it's why other schools have been completely screwed over, because Notre Dame had to Bigfoot their way into a bowl game. This has been happening for years, and I'm tired of it as a Notre Dame fan. I'll root for that school no matter what. I'll root for those games. I've rooted for bad Notre Dame teams. It's about exactly what NBC knows. It's about me being Irish Catholic. It's about my culture. But don't embarrass me again on a Monday night in early January where you get blown out by LSU by 50 points at halftime. Jesus. Florida State has a real complaint. But I will be rooting for Texas. But I just feel like this is just, let's just give it to Alabama and I'll go to sleep for the next 6 months. Cos MCs. Cos MCs is trending. Remember we talked about Cos MCs the other day. We didn't know what it was. People didn't know what it was, and now it's starting to become. Hold on. That's it. Little amuse-bouche. Hold on, give me a second. I'm just gonna. Cos MCs is trending. So what is Cos MCs? Well, remember that's the thing that McDonald's is doing. It's a new chain that McDonald's seems to be building. They've got plans for them in 50 locations. The first one is set to open. Here in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Bolingbrook! Love Bolingbrook. That's my stomping grounds. Old Chicago used to be in Bolingbrook. Who's from Bolingbrook? Drew Peterson, killer cop. Remember we talked about Drew Peterson the other day? Rob Lowe played him in the Lifetime movie. Drew Peterson was a cop who killed his wife. And then it turned out that he killed his wife before that. So he's killed multiple wives. And then he's got like other people who've gone. Anyway, Drew Peterson's a fascinating guy. Rob Lowe played him. Rob Lowe's greatest role. Look that up. The Drew Peterson movie on Lifetime. So that's Bolingbrook. That's what I know of Bolingbrook. But the first Cos MC. Now, what is it? It's a new McDonald's. It's not like sharing a McDonald's. It's not like, yo, there's the counter over there for Cos MCs. No, these are standalone new McDonald's. So here we got pictures. We got to look at, somebody drove through and they were building the menu on the drive-through, and he took a picture of the menu. But here's the thing. McDonald's PR is saying, yeah, that's not our menu, actually. That's a dummy. You don't think we knew that you people were trying to figure out what we are? We are McDonald's. We know how to do this corporate secrecy stuff. So whether or not this menu is the actual Cos MC menu, we don't know. Here's what we do know. It would be stupid for McDonald's to open up another burger place, because a lot of these Cos MC locations are going right next to, adjacent, sharing a parking lot with McDonald's. Now, I said it's not going to be like a counter in a McDonald's. It is its own freestanding building, its own freestanding operation, but they will be next to McDonald's. So that tells us right there, they ain't selling hamburgers. Why would they? That would be insane. So what are they making? A lot of people have been, well, they're going after Starbucks. They're going after Starbucks, and they're going after maybe some of the speculation was that they were going to sort of build on, amplify the McCafe menu, which is something that McDonald's locations have been introducing over the years. McDonald's top secret new chain, Cos MCs, prepares to open its first location in Illinois. As speculation mounts, it'll be a Starbucks rival, serving new menu items. Construction is underway in Illinois on McDonald's new spin-off restaurant. Cos MC is named after an alien mascot who was introduced in the 80s. Oh, I did some research on Cos MC. We'll see a picture of him here. I did some research on who Cos MC is. You know the McDonald Land characters, Grimace and the Hamburglar, and the Riddler and the Joker, and those are McDonald Land characters, right? Thanos. I think Thanos is also a McDonald Land character. So Kaz MC was a character that was introduced. He was a failed character. He didn't go anywhere. Yeah, the toys didn't take off. But here was the premise of Kaz MC. Kaz MC was a McDonald Land character introduced in the 1980s. And he was an alien robot from outer space who abandoned his life on this foreign planet to come down to Earth because he learned about hamburgers and French fries. That's it. That was the premise. So, and then he disappeared. Then the Kaz MC disappears. It's almost like McDonald's Human Resources did a little research. They're like, okay, you're not here because of hamburger and fries. You're here because you haven't paid child support on your home planet in like 9 months. So anyway, Kaz MC disappeared. But now he's back. 2023. They're like rebooting this old character. Let me see. What else can I tell you about it? I'm going to show you a picture of it. We're going to see what it looks like. We got pictures of the actual location. Now, why am I so into this? Because I love McDonald's. Because McDonald's is, I will defend McDonald's with all my heart. You Five Guys bitches, you people, your hamburger of the month club, it's Smash Burger. Shut up. The hamburger was perfected in 1959. It's called a McDonald's double cheeseburger. That's it. It's perfect. Now, are there better burgers? Yeah. But we're talking about an everyday working class, something you can shove down your gullet and stop them pangs of hunger. That's what McDonald's has done for this country for the past 70 plus years. Maybe even longer. Anyway, I love McDonald's. Filet-O-Fish. Filet-O-Fish might be the finest menu item you can buy at any fast food restaurant anywhere. I said it. The Filet-O-Fish. Actually, two of the absolute three of the absolute most delicious things that anyone can buy at any fast food restaurant anywhere are all McDonald's products. The Filet-O-Fish sandwich. My one critique of the Filet-O-Fish, too small. I need to eat 3 of them. I don't need that much bread. Can't you just make the sandwich bigger? Can't you make the Filet-O-Fish bigger? Filet-O-Fish sandwich. So underrated. It ain't ever going anywhere. It just hangs out on that menu. Almost nobody buys it, but the people who do buy it, they buy enough of them that McDonald's goes, people who like this really like this. It ain't going anywhere. Filet-O-Fish. That's number 1. Actually, that's not number 1. It's number 2. Because I forgot. The number 1 most delicious thing that you can buy at any fast food restaurant anywhere in the world, as far as I'm aware. Are you ready? Number 1. The McDonald's breakfast hash brown. Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye and tell me that the McDonald's breakfast hash brown isn't a goddamn home run every time. It is. It's just, I can't figure it out. I have never been disappointed by a McDonald's hash brown. Never. God, they're good. What are they doing with them? And then, of course, number 3, and we all forget about this, just in general, they're French fries. That's it. Those are the 3 best things you can get at any fast food restaurant. They're all at McDonald's, yet we all just so casually shit on McDonald's because we take it for granted, because there's one within walking distance of where we are right now. Wherever you are right now watching this, there's a McDonald's within walking distance, and we take it for granted because of that fact. So I am embracing the excitement around Kaz MCs, although I probably won't go there because I'm a fat guy who was born in the late 60s. If Kaz MC is trying to appeal fast food to like a new generation, it ain't going to be me. You know, they got sushi rolls at McDonald's. I ain't eating sushi rolls from McDonald's. That ain't. I'm eating potato products at McDonald's. I'm eating meat products at McDonald's. McDonald's top secret new spinoff, McKaz MC's, is on the verge of opening its first restaurant in Illinois, but the chain has yet to say exactly what it'll be. The Kaz MC restaurant is on the verge of completion in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Although a formal opening date has not yet been set, it has been bolted onto an existing McDonald's restaurant in the suburban Chicago intersection. It was likely chosen because the fast food giant's global headquarters is based in Chicago. Kaz MC is named after a retro McDonald's alien mascot. Okay, here we go. Let's start to get to the story. I'll start sharing it with you just so we can see what this place looks like. Boom. There we go. All right, so this. There we go. All right, so that's the logoing. There you go. It's got the Los Angeles Rams colors. Says here, local passerby Scott Fredrickson captured its menu screens. They showed an array of teas and lemonades, sandwiches, soft serve, and baked goods, although it is unclear if the menu is a dummy or authentic. Yeah, that's confirmed by another story where someone from McDonald's says that's a dummy menu. We're not going to put it up. We know food bloggers and all these weirdos are trying to scoop this story. So there's a picture of the menu. This is may or may not be the real menu. Might just be a dummy menu. If it is the real menu, this place looks awful. Now, you probably can't read it where you are because I'm actually having difficulty reading it on my side, and I've got the big version. You got teas and lemonades. All right, so there's all kinds of teas and lemonades. It's got, it says signature boosts, cherry energy boost. So this menu looks like they have some items that you could find at a Jamba Juice. Then there's a bunch of coffees, like a bunch of fancy McCafe coffees. So it's like a Jamba Juice. Is it a Jamba Juice meets a Starbucks meets a health food store in a McDonald's parking lot? Is that what we're doing? Is that what Cos MC is? All right, that's what it looks like from above. Looks just like a McDonald's, doesn't it? It looks exactly like McDonald's. What's the difference? McDonald's is red and yellow. I guess that's the only difference. This one's blue and yellow. Say it doesn't have much of an inside. Oh, here, let's watch this. What is this? Here's a video.
We've got our first look at the new Cosmix menu from McDonald's. This is a store being built in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And I've done a video before. This really does seem like a love child of a McDonald's, a Sonic, and a Starbucks. So let's check it out. It really does feel like the main focus of Cosmix is going to be on drinks, and they've got iced teas and lemonades and all sorts of ways you can customize it. So you can see some of their, signature galactic boosts, because remember, this is based off of the mascot named Cosmic, which is from space. And so you've got like some energy drinks, you've got lemonades, you've got teas, all sorts of things in between. So in addition to...
Oh, you guys. Jesus. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so dumb. I'm sitting here in my head. I'm going, how did the people at McDonald's, who obviously pay good money to people with good educations and good, branding legacy, how did they come up with such a bad name? I'm sitting here going, Cos MCs. That sounds like a terrible name. Cos MCs. I'm thinking that's just a really bad name. I don't know why McDonald's came up with that. And then I hear this dude. This dude comes out and he starts pronouncing it Cosmix. Which is probably right. He's probably right because I'm an idiot. I'm sitting there going, it's called Cos MCs. It's like a hip-hop place. Yeah. Cosmix. Okay? We're going to call it Cosmix. I'm such a fool. Oh, man, what are we going to do here? All right, hold on. Continue on. Sorry about that. I just had to point out that I'm an idiot. Oh, wait a second. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right, forget about it. That's Cosmix. I'm going to sheepishly move away. How humiliating for me. Cos MCs. It's Cosmix. Now that makes all the sense in the world. And I'm like, it's called Cos MCs. I don't know why his name is Cos. I guess the MC is for McDonald's. Cosmix. It totally makes sense now. Cosmix. Oh, I'm embarrassed. Hey, Billie Eilish is gay. Did you guys know this? She's one of the good ones. That means, well, earlier I said that Rex Reed was a bad gay. And then I also said that George Santos is one of the bad gays. Billie Eilish should be one of the good ones. She's angry. Billie Eilish is angry at Variety because she gave an interview to Variety in which she talked about being gay. And some Variety printed it. And then a whole bunch of people read it and they said, wait, hold on, what? Billie Eilish is gay? We didn't know she was gay. Has she ever talked about this before? She's never really talked about it. So now Billie Eilish is mad at Variety, who she's claiming that they outed her. Not that she had any shame or anything, but as she says, I thought everybody already knew. As did I. What? How can Variety be in trouble for outing somebody who is obvious? It's obvious her orientation is non-traditional. She's a non-traditional woman. She's a tremendously talented young girl who does not conform to conventions. So when I looked at Billie Eilish, the first time I saw her a few years ago, I'm like, I immediately went, but I don't. This is a weird one for me because, I don't do that. I don't look at people and the first thing is, oh, that's a gay one. That one's gay. Like, that's not the first thing that registers with me. But I think I just assumed it. Like, I just assumed she was gay. We live in an era where I just assumed that a Billie Eilish, because of the way, why? Well, there's context clues. Oh, so you're saying gay women, lesbian or whatever, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You're saying that gay women are, yeah, some of them are. Some of them, some women who turn out to be gay seem to follow fashion trends and certain manners of existing, really, that suggest that, they're not trying to land a man. There's different things. You'd say, yeah, okay, so I can see that. I can totally see that. She's not Katy Perry, is my point. My point is Katy Perry. Now, if you tell me Katy Perry's gay, I'm going to go like, really? Huh, cool. But Billie Eilish, I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, but the story is that she's angry at Variety. All right, let's move on. Billie Eilish, who is gay, is angry at Variety because she talked about being gay to Variety. And look at that. They just printed what she said. So she's mad. She's mad because people didn't know. Is she mad because there are people going, Billie Eilish is gay? Why, that's a game changer. What are you, from 1976? It's 2023. What do you mean it's a game changer that Billie Eilish is gay? All right, moving on. Macaulay Culkin was trending over the weekend. I don't know if you saw this. Adam says, Adam Rainey says, I honestly never worry or care or even think about anyone's sexuality. That's not true. That's not true of me. I don't do it first. It's not where I go first. Like, when my first thing is, good or bad. Like, I immediately just, and I don't want to say, look, I brag about being a good judge of people. I don't want to say that I see an aura, because I don't. I definitely don't. It's not like that. But maybe I would explain it that way, because I can't explain what it is, what the thing is that makes me go, okay, I think this person is good. I think this person is. It's like a light or a dark. That's the first thing that I get. And I can get that within like 2 minutes of talking with somebody or 2 minutes of observing somebody. I know that seems it's not 100% effective. You can catch somebody, you can observe somebody in a bad moment. And you'd be like, oh, that guy's an asshole. And then it turns out, no, you know what? They just caught him in a bad moment. Why? Because people are complicated. But yeah, I'm with Adam in that it's not something like in 2023, you run into people all the time who are all different kinds of human. People live, in ways differently than we used to. So sexual orientation isn't really, I can't say I'm like Adam in that it doesn't matter to me at all, because I do at some point think about it. At some point, when you start considering a human as in what their place in your life is as a friend or somebody who or you can't help. It's not like we sit down and go, today I'm going to think about who they want to fuck. That's not how it is. The brain doesn't work that way. But yeah, kind of with Adam, it doesn't matter to me. I think that's what he's trying to say. It used to. Oh, it used to. Oh, when I was like 15, he's like, oh, really? That guy's a fag? Oh, well, about thems. Because that's how the world was. That's what was expected. That's how I was programmed. But see, when I started resisting the programming, I'm like, oh, wait a second. Wait, you mean just because you're gay, you're not a child molester? See, that's the kind of shit. Anyway, I don't think much about it. I'm with Adam. How about this one? A Macaulay Culkin is trending. Macaulay Culkin is trending because first of all, this should be the story. Macaulay Culkin got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2023. Where the hell have you been, Hollywood Walk of Fame? Macaulay Culkin? 2023. The dude hadn't done anything in 20 years, and now you're giving that dude deserves that kid should have had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame before he had a high school diploma, which I'm sure he didn't get because he was a Hollywood actor. So he had other things going on. But Macaulay Culkin is trending because he got up, he was given by the way, he was trying to guess who inducted him. I don't know, is that a thing? Inducted? Guess who gave the introduction speech to Macaulay Culkin for his Hollywood Walk of Fame? The greatest person that anyone could ever get to do it. The great Catherine O'Hara. That's right. Catherine O'Hara, who famously played Macaulay Culkin's mom in the Home Alone movies. She got up and she gave a whale of a speech. So great. Everything she does is great. She shits gold bricks and, burps ambrosia. Let's watch Macaulay Culkin, though, because that's the reason that he's trending. What? Hold on. Yeah, there it is. All right, so let me pull this up. Here's the reason he's trending. They're going to make me watch a commercial for a second here. Give it a second here, folks. All right, so I want to show this to y'all. We'll make it as big as we can. Macaulay Culkin is trending because people can't believe his voice. Apparently, Macaulay Culkin has an odd voice. What's
On
this?
behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, I now declare today Macaulay Culkin Day in Hollywood! And now to hear from our newest Walk of Famer, Macaulay Culkin.
Hey everyone.
Lower the mic just a touch.
Thanks for having me.
Lower the mic, Mike.
Don't tell me what to do.
There you go.
First, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. I just there's so many people that I love, and to feel that love back is just amazing.
We love you,
so
Matt.
thank you.
And your weird voice.
Catherine, Natasha, thanks for all your kind words and your stories and stuff. It's you made my kids' dad, their papa, look good, and the most important thing to me is also that their papa understands that he wasn't always his papa. He also used to be a kid too, Thank you, Steve Nissen and Anna Martinez and the Walk of Fame Committee for honoring me in this way. I feel such esteem, from this whole thing. There's a couple people I want to single out today. Michelle Bega. We've worked together for 20 years, everything from just general publicity to trips to Disneyland and, just
All right, we don't need, that's enough. First, there will be no Macaulay Culkin slander on this show, okay? None. Uncle Buck, Home Alone, My Girl, The Bad Seed. Was he in My Girl? He was in My Girl. Which was the bad one? Which was the one where he was the bad kid? Whatever. No Culkin slander. Here, I'll also say this. 2, I'm seeing in the chat room people saying that he sounds like his brother. Who's his brother? What's his brother's name? Let's call his brother Joaquin. his brother Joaquin Culkin. Now, Kieran is his brother. his brother, it's so strange because Macaulay Culkin was a massive star and had all of these opportunities when he was very young and very little opportunities when he was older. But Kieran Culkin, who, was a child actor because there were opportunities because he was Macaulay's little brother. So he did some things, but Kieran Culkin is actually having a tremendous career as a young adult actor. And it's almost like, why didn't Hollywood just let Macaulay have those roles that now seem to be going to his little brother, Kieran? Kieran Culkin is amazing. Roman Roy from Succession? Come on. And people in the chat room are saying that Macaulay Culkin kind of sounds like Kieran Culkin. I don't see that. I mean, there is a cadence to the way they speak that seems to be maybe a Culkin family thing, but no, Macaulay Culkin, it's a fine voice, Macaulay. It's a fine voice. Here's the thing, pal. It's just not, I think, what we expected coming out of you. But now that we hear it coming out of you, Culky, we're good with it. You're fine. Look, listen to this. This is not a cool voice. This is a weird voice too. People are always like, what's wrong with your voice? I'm like, I don't know. So I get it. Macaulay Culkin, everybody going, what's up with his voice? I don't know. Here's what I want to know. What's up with him getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2023? Could you imagine being in Hollywood, like you went to Hollywood in 2003 and you're 20 years ago. So you go to Hollywood 20 years ago, you're a big Culkin fan and you're like, I'm going to see all my favorite people on the Walk of Fame. You'd have walked your entire trip looking for the Macaulay Culkin star. He inscrutably wouldn't have been there. How is that a thing? How does Macaulay Culkin, one of the biggest box office stars of the late 80s and 90s, and he was, how does he not already have a star? All right, moving on. Here's an interesting story. I like this one. Sex on screen. Sex on screen. You know the sex scene that we all used to wait for in the movies? You grew up in the 80s, and you go to the movies and you're like, here it is, a nude scene in this one. You get all excited about it because you didn't get to see that stuff much. Like, really? Does she get naked? And you would literally go to actresses would be cast in movies solely to get naked. It was called the gratuitous nude scene. And it was in every movie. Once they started bad movie, it was in every bad movie. Once they started allowing nudity in films, I mean, there were films that just went, our movie sucks. How do we get people to watch it? And then they were like, let's put chicks naked. So it became a thing. And that's basically one of the things of filmmaking, in Hollywood for years and years. Is there any nudity in it? People wanted nudity. They thought it was a way to sell the film. Big star willing to get nude. Oh my God. Haley Berry takes her top off, big deal. New studies are finding, and Hollywood has been following suit within the last 5 years, according to this study here, sex on screen. Depictions of prolonged depictions of intimacy and sexual scenes are not being done in films anymore. You still can every one off. I mean, HBO, but this also has to do with The Idol. The HBO series, The Idol. Remember that show? It was a huge, it's The Weeknd and I don't know, Lily Rose Depp or whatever. And it was it's from the people who do that other show that's really popular with the teenage girls that I don't even commit to Disturbia or whatever that show is with Sydney Sweeney. She's the only one I know. Oh, and we'll call her Katana. I don't know. It's the other girl with one name. Dude, I'm like seriously going senile. Or not senile. I'm starting. See, I don't even know the right word because it's happening. Like where I forget words and names. I chalk it up to the fact that I just got so many in here. Some of them have to go. Anyway, what they're discovering is, and it was sort of driven home by the immense failure of The Idol within its target demo. It wasn't that you and I didn't watch The Idol on HBO. It's that Gen Zers who were targeted directly by The Idol hated it. And why did they hate it? Because remember what the thing about The Idol was? It was super dirty. It was, it was like a sex cult. And there was all of this that was the number one complaint that the target demo for The Idol had. It was too dirty. It was unnecessarily Gen Z and millennials, for that matter, as this study has found, do not like these sex scenes. They do not like the sex scenes that we just became used to. I can tell you that when I watch an old movie now, there will be the sex scene. You know, it's in a bedroom and it's dark and it's shadows and you see them in the bed and oh, they're writhing together. And that scene usually takes about 5 minutes of screen time. You know what I do now? Fast forward through that shit. It has nothing to do with the plot. Okay, we get it. They hooked up. We don't need to see a graphic depiction of these two characters hooking up. But we did back in 1984 because there was no such thing as Pornhub, because there was no such thing as the internet, where hardcore sexual whatever is just a click away today. That's the world that millennials and Gen Zers are occupying. They don't want titillation from their movies. What they want is a story. They want something that compels them to watch further. They don't need those tricks of the trade that the prolonged sex scene or the seduction scene used to provide Hollywood. We used to go to see movies because there was a sex scene in it. I don't really want to see the movie, but I hear she gets naked, so let's go see it. People do not do that anymore. Why? Because you just go online, see anybody naked anywhere. I think this is awesome. I despise, the number one thing that I despise in films, and I've said this for years, is the romantic subplot. The unnecessary romantic subplot drives me insane in films. And the unnecessary romantic subplot was always shoehorned into films because it allowed for an opportunity for that sex scene so that you could have that sex scene. Half the movies you've seen where, you know, he goes home and he argues with his girlfriend, you don't need that. The character could have just said, yeah, I got a girlfriend at home. We argue all the time. And that could have been it. And you could have stayed more on topic or more in plot with the story. But no, you had to divert all of these movies for 10 minutes where you meet the girlfriend. Remember, that's a whole slew of Hollywood. That's another thing from the Hollywood clone factory. They just have these discount girlfriends who were girlfriends to A-listers in films, big films, and then you never saw them again. It's kind of like Skylar in Breaking Bad. What was her name? Skylar in Breaking Bad was on the big, I don't even know her name. Skylar, the wife of Walter White, Skylar, she was in every single episode. She was a major pivotal character in every single episode of Breaking Bad. And she got no career. She ain't going anywhere. Breaking Bad's the greatest TV show of all time. Nobody will gonna hire her for anything. She didn't go on to films and she didn't do what Bryan Cranston was allowed to do. But there's her, and then there's the chick in Better Call Saul. Kim Wexler and Better Call Saul. They came from the same clone line. Those are disposable television wives and girlfriends. Now, in the case of Kim Wexler, I think that she's the most important thing in Better Call Saul. I think she's the best character in Better Call Saul. But, you know, it doesn't matter because she was that disposable. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of different, I've really been focusing on my Hollywood clone factory conspiracy, and I'm going to do a whale of a special YouTube show on the Hollywood clone factory. I'll show you. I'll have pictures. I'll bring receipts, as the kids say. So sex on screen is dwindling because kids don't need that interrupting their films, and I kind of applaud it. Lisa Marie is in the news. Did you know she had a half brother? Lisa Marie. So Lisa Marie is, of course, the daughter. Lisa Marie's dead. She died almost a year ago. We'll get to that in a minute. Lisa Marie died, surprisingly, in January of last year. She is the daughter of Elvis Presley. She is the daughter of Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley. Priscilla Presley, after Elvis died, would go on to marry again. And she had other children. Lisa Marie Presley has a little brother, a little half brother. What's this dude's name? Navarone. Hold on. Dude's name is not Lisa Marie's brother. Is named Navarone Garibaldi. Pretty cool name. Lisa Marie Presley I bet you the Garibaldis are super rich. Because like Priscilla Presley, after Elvis, she wasn't dating an electrician. She probably married the Garibaldi's. Whoever this kid is, I'm sure that his paternal line is incredibly wealthy because, that's how you get to have Priscilla Presley as a daughter-in-law. No lost love. No love lost. Priscilla Presley's son slams late sister, Lisa Marie, over her past drinking and says he doesn't miss her at all. Woo! And now I watch Succession, and I know how these like super rich and super snaggly families are, right? They all hate each other. They're all awful. They don't have the love and the compassion, the understanding that we normal people have with our normal families. Now these rich people are all about, I hate that son of a bitch. This dude's name is Navarone Garibaldi. He's 36. He penned an emotional tribute to Lisa Marie at the time of her death, saying, although they had their differences, he was, quote, lost for words, and adding, I love you dearly, sis. But fast forward months later, he's been getting honest about his relationship with his late singer sister. This week, he took to Instagram Live to discuss how he didn't get along with Lisa Marie. So this is brother and sister. There's a 14-year age difference, though. They're half brother and sisters. They share the mom. They share Priscilla. But there is a 14-year age difference. So he says, I'm not going to lie and say that I miss her, but I will say that it is strange her not being around. Apparently, according to this guy who was the little brother of Lisa Marie, you got to imagine. So let's go into Lisa Marie. Let's go into her mindset at the time. So her mom marries a new guy. She's the daughter of Elvis. Who's this new guy? Who's this new guy that mom is listening to? Who's this new guy, and how does he compare to my dad, Elvis? So there's that. Little girl Lisa Marie was probably had that in her head. You're no Elvis. So I can't imagine she got along well with the stepfather. So they start having kids, and then all of a sudden she's 14, and now that you got this Navarone Garibaldi, and he's the baby. She's 14. He's the baby. She hates the stepdad because he ain't Elvis. Can't understand why mom is spending. So now the baby is like taking away from her, Lisa Marie, who is the princess of the world. Lisa Marie has been the princess of the world since her birth. I'm not kidding. I mean, she was the most famous little girl in the world because she was Elvis's baby. So she didn't like this. Now there's a new baby. So I can imagine from the very early on, she was probably cold and disinterested in her little brother. But here's what the little brother has to say about his relationship with Lisa Marie as they went through life. When slammed for trash talking his sister in comments, he replied, I didn't trash talk her. All I did was speak the truth. But sometimes I get egged on when people ask me questions, and I just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. It's not like I plan on it. I just can't help myself, said Lisa Marie's little brother. In a recent interview with host Aaron Smith Levin about growing up in Scientology. Oh, God. Yeah. Lisa Marie and Priscilla were involved in Scientology, weren't they? Ugh. In a recent interview with host Aaron Smith about growing up in Scientology, he also got deeper into his thoughts on his sister and blamed the breakdown of their relationship on her drinking. So he says, well, the reason I had such a rough time with my sister is because she was a drunk. Lisa Marie was a drunk. He also said she hated him smoking weed from a young age, and she was anti-drugs for many years until she battled with her own addictions in life, which she was very open about. So apparently for a period of time, she was one of these people. Elvis, oh my God, this was Elvis too, though. Holy shit. You guys, Elvis, man, Elvis hated dirty hippies. You pot-smoking dirty hippies, put them all in jail. That's illegal. Say, man, somebody call Dr. Nick. I need more of them mazepams. Elvis made no... Elvis was a junkie. Elvis was a junkie who hated hippies and marijuana. Say, man, you want to get fired from the Elvis experience? You smoke up a doob in front of me, man. That's how Elvis was. Elvis was an idiot. Okay, he really was. Elvis was an incredibly dumb man. He was an idiot. He was an incredibly dumb man who was given all kinds of power. And, he died at 44. That's kind of, tracks. So I can totally see Lisa Marie having the same sort of thing, like this would be when he was a teenager. So this would be like the late 80s. So Lisa Marie is like, yeah, you're smoking pot. That's bad. Meanwhile, she's like, she would go on to be like a big heroin addict and all kinds of stuff. She got into all opioid addiction. That's what, remember when she died? Remember she died, it was like, well, she took one too many pill. So to now hear from her little brother that, you know, and by the way, this is the story I'm building up to. I haven't gotten to the story. So Lisa Marie didn't like Navarone Garibaldi, her little brother, little half brother. She didn't like him smoking pot. And she used to try and get him in trouble. So what Lisa Marie, here, I'm going to read the story. I'll just read the story to you. In a recent interview, he said he blamed a lot of it on the drinking. He also said that she hated him smoking weed from a young age, as she was anti-drugs for many years until she battled with addiction later in life. The problem with my sister, this is him saying it, the problem with my sister and I is that she would drink, and she had 5 security people with her everywhere she went every day of her life. So I would just try and go and do my own thing. You see, I'm not a huge drinker. I prefer to just smoke weed. We would go to New York or whatever, and I would leave the vicinity, the hotel, and I would go to Central Park. I would go somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I would just smoke a quick joint and then go back to the hotel. By the time I get back to the hotel, my phone is ringing, and it's Lisa Marie. Were you just smoking pot in Central Park? She would yell. How the fuck did you know that? I would respond. And then Lisa would say, well, I had my security guards follow you. Lisa Marie was sending her security detail to follow her little brother while he's trying to take a couple of hits from a one-hitter in Central Park. What a bitch. Let's see. So he says, she says, how the F did you know that, Lisa Marie? Well, I had my security guard follow you, and now I'm calling mom. He goes on to say, then I'd get a call from my mom, Priscilla Presley, because Lisa Marie would rat on him. Then I'd get a call from my mom. Were you just smoking pot in Central Park? She would say to me. Then she, Lisa Marie, would drink, and she'd kind of look around the room and say, you. Then she'd decide to go off and tell you everything that's wrong in your life. She was a terrible drinker. So he's basically saying that after he'd get in trouble, they'd all be sitting around and she would be shit-faced. And Lisa Marie would just start going off on people, drunk off her ass. Because that's what alcohol does. It's not what weed does. Alcohol makes you a jerk. Alcohol makes you a fuck yeah, blah. That's what alcohol does. You know what weed makes you? Weed makes you cool. Weed makes you go, all right, dude. All right, dude. All right, yeah. Man, that's kind of insulting, bro. Why would you say that to me? That's what weed does. Anyway, then I'd get a call from my mom. Were you just smoking pot in Central Park? Then she, Lisa Marie, would get drunk, start fights, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to say, it was pretty destructive. I never got angry like that. I never said anything. I didn't get mean when I smoked pot, but she said really awful things to me when she drank. Elsewhere in the interview, the host said he didn't have the privilege. Elsewhere in the interview, the host of the podcast said that he didn't have the privilege of knowing Lisa Marie, to which her brother laughed and said, that's not a privilege. God, brothers and sisters, man. There's some deep, complicated stuff. Let's see here. He admitted that he didn't go to the family and friends part of Lisa Marie's funeral when she was buried at Graceland, saying even if his mom had invited him, he wouldn't go. She knew that I would not have gone. Navarone went on to say he was also not close with Lisa's son, Benjamin Kehoe, who fatally shot himself at his family home in July of 2020, aged 27. So he didn't know his nephew. He wasn't particularly close with his nephew, Benjamin Kehoe, who was Lisa Marie's son. But he does go on to talk about Riley Keough, who's a great young actress. She is so terrific. I have a lot of faith in Riley Keough. I think she's going to be a really big name. She just seems so wonderful. And that's all backed up by this, okay? So the dude, Lisa Marie's brother, the son of Priscilla Presley, who is the grandmother of Riley Keough, he says that basically everybody that Lisa Marie ever popped out was a jagoff. And then he goes in to talk about Riley Keough, who I love. So I was a little bit upset. I was a little bit like, well, where's he going to go here? Is he going to break bad? Lisa left behind 3 other children, Riley Keough, 34, with ex Danny, along with 15-year-old twins Harper and Finley. I don't know, and this is this Navarone guy speaking now on Lisa Marie's other children, his nieces and nephews. He's saying, I don't know where Riley came from because she's an angel that came from somewhere that had none of the narcissism, none of the antagonism, none of the awful things that this family is all about, he said. She's literally the sweetest, kindest, most amazing human in the world. I love Riley the most out of everyone in my family. She's pretty much the only one on my mom's side that I actually care about. And the twins too, but they still got to grow. They're just kids now. So look at that. That was good. So he's trashing everybody as being just awful people. But then the one person that I do know and I root for, Riley Keough, he says she's amazing. She does. She seems amazing. Did you seen an interview with her? She's so fun. Like obviously people want to talk to her about, being a Presley and all that kind of stuff. And, a lot of people would be like, she kind of makes fun of it. And she turns it, she uses the subject. She's mastered how to negotiate those questions is what I'm saying. Like she doesn't get mad. Like there's a way but I said, I don't want to talk about that, but she seems very cool about it. She seems anyway, I root for Riley Keough. Anyway, there you go. I didn't even know that Navarone Geribaldi was a thing, let alone that he was Lisa Marie Presley's brother and that he didn't like her. Do we really doubt this, though? With all due respect to Lisa Marie Presley, did she ever smile? Was there a moment in Lisa, all those people, money will make me happy? No, Lisa Marie Presley never had a want for anything in her entire life, and I don't think she ever smiled. Just pull up random Bing images of Lisa Marie Presley. Everything is this. It's all that with like dead. She has her dad's eyes. She has these dead, dark eyes. I don't know. She just always looked like she didn't look light and happy, is my point. She looked like, what else do we have to do today? You know what? I'm going to save this. I have like a list of people who died. We're going to go through a list of people who died in 2023. That was released today. The AP puts out their annual dead roll, which, we still got a whole month to go. So there's going to be people who are going to sneak in at the end here. But I was interesting. I was looking through it. We were going to talk about that, but now we're not. Okay, so we're going to move on. Here's what we are going to do. Folks, thank you so much. We're about done with show here today. As I said, if you can, tip the show. We didn't make it. I'm going to check and see. I don't know if anybody tipped during the show today. I'm going to check and see if they did. We were about $75 short at the start of today's show, so help out if you can. If not, I love you. We'll get through anyway. It's Christmas season. I get it. If you were going to tip us $10, take that $10, buy your kid something. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Okay, buy him a little something extra. I don't care if you're not going to tip me. We'll make it. We'll survive. It was just kind of a thing in my head that I couldn't believe we made this number, this arbitrary number. And it's not an arbitrary number, but the number could be larger, but we set the number where it is because that would, worst case scenario, mean that we could at least continue with, doing this. And we've always made it, and we didn't make it this month, and that's okay because we came close. And, I guess we're playing hand grenades because close counts. So thank you to everybody, but still going to leave it open. You want to drop a little something? That's fine. You guys, you contribute in so many ways to this show. I want to take a moment and talk about a situation, a little human interaction that I went through over the past couple of days. Well, let me get a drink here. I want to talk about Peter in the chat room. Peter's a regular in the chat room. Peter's been an executive producer on many an occasion here on the show. Peter's a good dude. Peter's one of you. Peter's here. I don't know if he's here now. I don't know if he was popping in. But when I said that I could no longer use the John Hinckley music that I was using for the closing theme, because now they were dinging me. They're like, you can't monetize your show anymore. I'm like, I can't monetize the show anyway. Show's running on tips. That's how I'm monetizing the show. So F you. Anyway. I said, maybe if somebody wants to cover Never Ending Quest by John Hinckley. We could do that. I threw it out there because I know honestly, I was throwing it out to Rob because Rob Barr is my musical guy. I thought he might hear it and go, all right, I'll work that up. But Peter Lufkin stepped up. Peter was like, I'll do something. I'll do something. I'm like, oh, great. What, man? Come on, man. Anything that anybody wants to contribute to this show, I'm all for it. So I guess this all went down on Thursday night. And then on Friday morning, when I was putting the show together, I saw an email. I received a nice email from Peter, and he's like, hey, I did this. I stayed up all night, blah, blah, blah. He worked hard on it. And, worked hard. I worked hard that he had to learn a song. That's not an easy thing to do. You learn a song from scratch. So I put all this work in. And I saw the note on Thursday or Friday morning when I was putting the show together. And I had already intended to end the show with the Corey Feldman stuff because I had discovered Corey Feldman at Riot Fest. And I was like, oh, God, this is awesome. And in that moment, I kind of decided, I'm like, maybe Corey Feldman's Comeback Kid. Maybe that's something that I could use as a closing theme because that's funny, too. John Hinckley, Presidential Assassin, is my closing theme. That's funny. So is Corey Feldman. So anyway, I was openly talking about that. And so when I saw the email from Peter on Friday morning, he was like, here, I did it. Here it is. And I went to click on it to play it on the show for the show. I clicked on it and I couldn't get it to open. It wasn't working. And, I'm running down, the show is going. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to mention this. We'll do the Corey Feldman thing today because I was already going to talk about that a little bit. And then moving forward, I'll figure this out over the weekend and we'll get it played. Well, Peter got very upset. Very upset. And rightfully so. He should. This is how creatives process. He gave his heart, he gave his soul, he gave his passion. He worked hard on something. He was stepping up to help the show. And this was his perception. This wasn't my intent, but his perception was that I was just blowing off his hard work. And and Peter, I hope you don't mind me talking about it, but I think this is an interesting little human interaction that you and I went through. You were very angry. He went Leslie. He went crazy. He went Leslie. And I'm reading this and I'm like, holy shit. He turned off the show. He just like completely, he's like, oh, he's not going to play it. Like the minute I started talking about Corey Feldman, he turned off the show. Decided to damn me to hell and I suck and I'm awful. And he fired off a really heavy email that I was like, oh, fuck. Now, it's in the response to this email and in these moments that, I always say, I'm constantly working on myself because I feel like I've spent a very large part of my life being an asshole. And I maybe need to try and fix that, right? Because now I got a kid. I don't want my kid to see me losing my temper and being an asshole. So I see this email and I'm like, huh? Because remember I said he turned the show off. He turned the show off. He didn't hear me go on to explain how I'm going to try and do this right. And I don't want to, whatever. So he turned the show off and he sends a really mean email. And I read the email and I'm like, ugh. So I decided, you know what? He's having a bad day. And I totally get it. Because I've been a producer for a lot of very talented people and I have busted my ass. Look at this. Look at her. Hold on. What are you doing? Where are you going? All right, sorry. The dog spotted a squirrel out the window. Never mind. So then apparently later, Peter listened to the rest of the show and I guess he had a change of heart and he sent me a second email. And this email was just, man, this is how human beings need to be. I think both Peter and I behaved in this interaction in a way that we can both be proud of. Because I didn't immediately fire off a response. Fuck you, dude. What the hell? No, I sat on it and I went, you know what? I need to process this. I need to think about how I respond to that. Because I don't want to necessarily, because I understand he's a creator. He feels like he got snubbed. He worked hard. There's no more vulnerable moment for a creator than when you present your creation, the thing that you made from whole cloth, to somebody else to sit in judgment of it. Sucks. I intimately understand that. So I understood what he was going through. So he ends up listening to the show. He sends me another email where he's very apologetic. And then I send him one back and I'm like, we're good. Okay. So that's where we are now. Now we are going to play Peter's closing theme. We've been through a lot with this one. He was nice enough to do it as a YouTube version, and we're going to play it now. So let's all get together. Let's join hands, and let's be appreciative for Peter. Peter and I got sideways. Hold on. But we fixed it. We fixed it because we didn't just scream at each other. We didn't go off half-cocked. We took time. We looked, we understood. I considered what he was angry about and what that consideration entailed. Me thinking about the times I've done things for people and then they haven't appreciated it, or they just blew it off, or it never got played. Man, seriously, that is a very real thing. And anybody out there who's ever been a radio producer, and this will be specific, been a radio producer who've worked on something, talk about it with James tonight. Mention this to James. He'll lose his shit. Because James has been through this a billion times. You create something awesome, and you give it, and you're waiting all day to see if it gets on the air. Is he going to play it? Is he going to do my bit? Is he going to do my thing? And then the show ends, and you're like, fuck! And you take it personal. And that's what Peter did, and rightfully so. And in my consideration of that, I felt really bad. So here we go. So, because Peter worked his ass off, he learned the song, and he's a wonderful man who we appreciate just as we appreciate all of you. Here we go. We've got a new closing theme. That's right. The damn copyright laws. They're not going to stop us. No. We're going to play our John Hinckley as much as we want. So here he is, Peter L., our friend and yours, doing Never Ending Quest. This will be the end of the show. I'll be out of here. Thank you so much. We'll be back tonight at 9:00 for Radio Misfits. Yes, me and James, 9:00 tonight, Radio Misfits. Tip the show if you can. That'd be great. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Peter. I love you, brother. I really do appreciate that you did this. You did. He doesn't play guitar. Peter didn't play. He had to pick up. He had to figure out how to do. He actually, goddamn, that makes me want to cry. Here's Peter with his version of Never Ending Quest. Bye, everybody.
It's for you, Pugs. Well, and for the chat room, too. So, hi, guys. I love every one of you. And I expect you to sing along. I will be listening. Ready? I have got my poetry. I have got my song. See me through the lonely night. Help me to be strong. I am like that dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. Always had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, best is yet to come. I have found a different way to bow from into some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have that greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way to baffle into some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. Always had to be on guard, that is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Yeah, come on, sing it with me. I am on a never-ending quest. One more time, I love you guys. Damn it!
Oh, look at that! How awesome was that? That's our boy Peter, huh? Let's give him a nice little round of applause. Were we singing? I had the mic turned off. I was actually singing, and then I looked. I'm like, why am I not hearing it? Because I took my one earbud out, and I'm like, why am I not hearing? And I looked, and I had the mic on off. So I'm sorry about that. But thank you so much, Peter. I love you. I love all of you folks. We'll see you tonight at 9:00. Okay, tonight at 9:00, the Radio Misfits show with myself and James Parker. RadioMisfits.com. Tip the show if you can. If not, that's cool. I love you. Bye, everybody.